welcome back to 101.9. This is your boy Alex G alongside Mal. It's not 101.9.
Isn't that the Allentown? You guys listen to 101.9 how about you?
Nah, I think that's from like a joke.
Well, you know what? No, 105.1 I think was ours.
Yeah, that was
Allentown.
That was Power 105.
What was Allentown's?
I don't know. I ain't live out there.
There was like an Allentown one that we played every day.
105.1 is the Breakfast Club. Who won the Breakfast Club?
Oh yeah, you know what? We used to get 105.1 sometimes. You know what's funny? It depended on where we sat in our house. We used to get it. And the reason why we started getting it is when the Freedom Tower was built. Cause the antenna.
Interesting.
That's the only way we was able to get it from all the way out and by me.
Interesting.
Wait, where you were located? You was at New Jersey and New York.
You know what's funny? The Magic 98.3 radio station is like right next to me. Like
the
where
hub?
we lived. Yeah. Like the actual antenna for it. Not too far from us. Magic 98.3.
Another one was good. Was 98.9. That was a good one. You didn't listen to 98.9?
No. We had Z100, of course. Hot 97, so 97.1.
The Z100, that's the Allentown one I thought.
Z100 is like everywhere. That's like all the pop music.
I think ours was 101.5.
Yeah, because there was 101.5.
I think that was Allentown.
There was WBLS, which was 101.5, I'm pretty sure. And there was also 105.1, which was the Breakfast Club.
I think ours was 101.5.
Yeah, 101.5 is popping. Anyway, that's back. That's for our older audience that used to listen to music on the radio. But anyway, it's your boy Alex G alongside Mal, and this is the A Couple of Things podcast where we are here to talk about a couple of things.
Yeah.
Let's jump into it.
First topic. Who comes first, me or our kids?
The conversation stemmed from Twitter, of course, where people were trying to discuss who comes first in a familial structure. So whether it should be your spouse or if it should be your kids.
Yeah, and the woman in the tweet said that her husband comes first.
Right, and it's the debate. So you want to give your opinion first?
Yeah, I'll give my quick opinion.
Go ahead.
So I want to first say that the whole basis of who comes first actually comes from religion and biblical. So I just find it funny how a lot of people disagree with the standpoint, but are super religious. They'll have Bible verse in their bio, they'll have a cross, but then they're the same people like mad about people's stance when that's literally a biblical thing. Secondly, I feel like people are so quick to be angered by things that they don't realize what that actually means. So they interpret pitting a man first. We also have to think a lot of these people aren't used to seeing stability. They aren't used to seeing loving, stable relationships. They're not having that on their own. So they don't know what it's like to have a nurturing, providing husband that you love and that you will care for. So that's one thing we gotta remember. But yeah, so they don't understand that aspect. But like I said, I feel a lot of people don't understand what that means by saying your husband comes first or your wife comes first. They view that as, they equate that means you're neglecting the children. That's not what that means. It just means, somebody had a perfect breakdown. I'm gonna find it real quick while you're talking so I could circle back with the list. But somebody had like a great list of what they mean. And one thing they meant by that is like how your man is supposed to eat first. That doesn't mean you're over here slaving away, whipping up your man a meal, and then you start cooking for your kids. No, that means you cook the meals for the whole family at once, and you're putting everybody's food on the plate. If you this is for people who follow traditional husband-wife roles, right? Mm-hmm. Where a wife is serving the family, which is funny that people are against that, but they're not against the man paying the bills, which is still old traditional male role, right? So it's funny to me how they're so for that traditional role, but they're so anti the woman traditional part in it. But if you are in a traditional household where the wife is cooking for the family, right? Mm-hmm. What they mean, like one of the examples is you cooking everybody's food, but as you're handing out the food in the table, you give the husband his plate, you give your kids the plate. The kids are getting their plate 2 seconds after the husband. It's not like the kids are not eating. No. But it's like you're showing like a sign to your husband, like you're still the man in the household. This is like, I still love you. You're still my person. You're still my number one. You get your food first. Not that the kids don't matter. And people are saying, yeah, you shouldn't rank people. And like, I'm not like, I don't think people, it's necessarily a rank. It's just an emphasis on don't neglect your, people who believe in God, everything, your godly duty. Like when people get married, lots of people are doing it under God. So don't neglect the thing that you vowed to do, your wifely duties.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you vowed your life to your husband. Like you're supposed to be one. When you get married, you're one. So he comes first, or your wife comes first. Then the kids. Your kids are gonna grow up and leave you and start their own families. Where they're gonna put their families before you, which they should.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like so much people spend so much time neglecting their husbands. Their kids, they make their kids everything. And then once those kids grow up and leave, then they're sitting there with a man or a woman that they feel like they don't even know or love anymore. And it's like, and then what happens? A lot of people get divorced around that time. So I agree. I think your spouse comes before your kids. And I don't mean it like, if it's just a fire and it's like, oh, who to save? Like that's such a drastic example. I feel like you try to save everybody as much as you can, but I just feel like you make that vow to your person. So don't forget that. Like that's your person.
Yeah. I agree.
While you're talking, I'm gonna find that list.
Yeah.
With other examples.
It's probably just I probably pulled it up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think that in a family you should choose your spouse first, because just from a basic simple concept, the spouse was there first, right? Like there was no concept of a child before your spouse.
Yeah.
So when you were making that commitment to that person, you're not making a commitment to kids that don't exist. Maybe you might want kids, but you're not committed to something that doesn't exist. You're not always guaranteed to have kids either.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like you make that commitment to your spouse and they should always come first, right? Like if you're on, I mean, I know it's a tough conversation and people might not necessarily want to hear it, but if you're in an emergency room table and they're asking you a question, do you want to save your wife or do you want to save the kid during a childbirth? I'm picking the wife. Like I know you. I don't know these kids that don't exist yet.
Yeah.
And so my loyalty is to you and my loyalty is also to the kid. But when it comes to my priorities, I known you I will know you always forever, longer than I've known these children. They weren't a concept when we met. So it's not like you said, it's important to say that they're not going to be disregarded.
Yeah.
But when it comes to my priorities, it's everybody, but it's you. Like you're the matriarch. You're the person that's at the head of the household, and that's
like
why
you started this.
Right, you created this whole life that we're existing in, right? These children would not be here. So it would be actually irresponsible, in my opinion, to put the value of a child over the parent, because the parent is the one that has the power and the ability to have influence and can have stability and money and resources. All of that comes from them, not the children. So it would be a bad decision to put the child over the parent. That's like you would put the prince over the king. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
The king is the one that is running this kingdom, not the prince, not the children, not anybody underneath. You'll be very irresponsible to view it that way. So to me, when it comes to a list of priorities, which I'm sure you'll read out in a second, the priority should always be the spouse. And that goes for the husband side and the wife side.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just how it should work. And I think that that's kind of common sense. Now, like you said, it could be a little dramatic when people are talking about who to save in a fire and all that kind of stuff. Like, obviously a baby is going to be helpless. Like, you should go for the baby.
Yeah.
Though we're talking about in general, like when people were getting food served, in terms of who should be inconvenienced for some sort of issue, it shouldn't be put on the parent.
Yeah.
The parent shouldn't necessarily be inconvenienced when it comes to certain things. It should be the kid. The kid it's the child. They don't require as much, first of all.
Yeah.
And they're also, not that they're not important, but they're not as important, because as a parent, you're the resource. So you're more important.
Keeping the house afloat.
If your well-being isn't being taken care of, how the hell are you going to take care of the kid?
Yeah.
So that's really what it comes down to, in my opinion. So I don't know how people are prioritizing a kid over their spouse. And I know we've had this concept a lot. People hate their spouses.
Yeah, and we talked about this, about how like a lot of times kids change dynamics of relationships and marriages, because especially like, no offense, I'm a woman, but I'll admit like women are the main ones that do that, because they just have that like subconscious, it's like what's the word, like innate.
Yeah, that innate. Like, I'm a mom. Like it's that.
Yeah, like
that maternal instinct.
Yeah, that maternal instinct. Yeah, it's like it just comes with it, because you grew this baby, right? You grew this baby in your stomach, so it's like you just have this maternal instinct, right? So I think like I get it, but I feel like a lot of times some women, like they become so over like compensated. Is that the right word? Over. indulged, I guess, like in their role and their responsibility, that they ended up neglecting their husbands. And I feel like the ones that do that, maybe like they really did love their husbands and it just happens by accident. But I feel like maybe some of them didn't truly. And I feel like, you know, we talked about this plenty of times on the podcast where people get married and it because they just want to check that box. Oh, I'm married, I have a kid. So they'll do it with anybody just to say they did it and just to have that kid and just to have that. And I think that happens more likely with them. But I think definitely even in marriages and relationships where there was no issues could arise because they just become so indulged in that mom life, and that becomes their whole identity is being a mom, and they end up really just neglecting a husband. Yeah. And people are like, oh, woe is me about the husband, but like, nah, that's still a real person who has emotions, feelings, and love for their wife, and like they feel like they're on the back burner now, beyond providing the needs for the kid. Like it's like obviously the kids are gonna come first, and there's gonna be stages of your life where the kids first when they're a newborn, when they need you, but it's when it becomes beyond that. Where the moms are so overly obsessive in their role. Like the needs are met. Like you're doing a lot now. Like you still have a husband. You still have a person who still needs you also. Needs your affection, needs your love. And then unfortunately that's what happens outside. A lot of times we see infidelity. Right. Not excusing it, but that's a very, you know, reasonable link to why it happens.
And that goes into a whole other conversation, which I'll probably save for a later time, but it's the misconception that men cheat for frivolous reasons, just like the physical part. But a lot of it, and I think I gave you the number, I would assume it's like 90%, if not higher, is like an emotional thing. Because it's just from what I've seen personally. It's like I'm at work, I see women bash their husbands at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So I can only imagine what they do in private. Like if you're doing this publicly in front of people. And this is not to give any excuses. Demeaning them to your coworkers of all people. It's not even like we're friends.
Yeah, it's like you said, that's how you know it probably gets nasty behind the scenes. Like so, talking to them like a child.
So like when it comes to the emotional aspect, but that's a whole other conversation. And I'm not condoning cheating at all. I would never. But actions do have consequences, and unfortunately that's just one of the consequences. But we'll save that conversation for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so child does not ever come first.
Yeah.
Never.
And that's like people view it like it's so harsh.
Yeah, no.
But that's why like this thing, like I was mentioning the article, it breaks it down good because they even said like she was saying like it's controversial for people to believe this because she far too often moms put their children above their spouses and it ends up weighing on the marriage, which we just said. And so when I say your spouse should become before your child, I'm not saying your child's needs will go unmet. There will be a specific season when a child comes first and takes most if not all your time, like we just said. When our children are infants, they require a lot of time and energy. So that's expected in those early stages, right? When our kids are sick, again, they become a priority, but they shouldn't stay a priority. That's what she was saying. And she's like, should your spouse be your first priority? And she was saying, putting your spouse first does not mean you love your husband more than the kids. The love for a spouse and the love for our kids are different. There's enough room in our hearts for everybody, for the love of everybody. And she was saying putting your spouse first does not mean that your kids get less time. You can still prioritize your marriage while most of your time is spent taking care of the kids. Lastly, putting your spouse first does not mean neglecting your kids or allowing abuse of any kind. So like, kids are always taken care of, they're always comforted, snuggled, and loved. Like needs are still met. So that's the thing, people act like that's what this means. So she was saying this is what she means. Here's 20 things that she was saying. One, she was saying like when you have nap time, like when the kids are napping, use that as like your me time. So go get whatever done that you needed to get done. Maybe any errands, maybe take your own nap, maybe go do whatever you want to do, right? But then once the kids go to bed at night, that's the time you spend with your husband. So have some time for like, don't have like, some women, they'll use that time when the kids are in bed. That's their me time. And then they leave no space for when they actually are hanging out with their husband. So like when you're doing that, using both your nap time and your bedtime as me time, it's like, what about me? Like, place boundaries on your kids' activities. So there's breathing room to enjoy with your spouse. So I guess like if your kids are doing stuff, like just have boundaries. So there's some breathing room. So like, if I said serve your spouse first at mealtime. This was an example of why I feel like my parents' relationships kind of fell apart. Like I just said, like the kids get older and move out and then the marriage falls apart. Go figure. This is something I feel like they violated. Rule number 4, when she said, when your children tries to pit you against your spouse, pick your spouse's child. So when your dad says no more snacks, don't let them have snacks. If you disagree, just talk to your spouse. My parents were not like that. They were not a united front. Like you could tell they had different views on discipline. So my mom would hit us, and my dad wasn't really a big hitting person. So he would literally like after like comfort us. And for us, it's like I get it. He was just comforting us, but for us, it was like confusing because like it's almost like it was like a daddy says like we would take his side because like he doesn't hit us, but and then now you're kind of causing beef because now it's like they didn't come up with a discipline like same page. You know what I mean? So like this, and that was a good example too. Like if like let's say our kids are like, oh, I want snacks, and you said no snacks, and then they come to me, Mommy, I want snacks, and it's like, okay, you have snacks. That's not good. We're not on the same page. We put be united front always. If we disagree, we do that in private. That's what that means by pitting your kids, like pitting us first. Like people view it so wrong, right? But this is like that's a good example. And the whole bunch of other stuff, like place boundaries so the kids don't interrupt the conversation. So me and you are talking, and the kids try to interrupt us. If it's not a dire need, they shouldn't be interrupting us. That's rude, Listen to your preferences about like your care. So I think that goes both ways. Like hear each other out. It's just stuff like if he's busy at work, pack his lunch, make him coffee in the morning, like little stuff. Show displays of affection, text with him and flirt throughout the day, so you're not like this neglecting being a wife. Make your bedroom a no kid zone. Like if that's what you want it to be, right? Make sure you're saying I love you to the front of the kids. Never leave without a kiss or a goodbye. Like, make sure that, cause sometimes you're probably busy with the kids running around, but still make that a priority. They give you a kiss before you leave the house. Like these are the things that this makes sense. These are the little stuff I feel like people don't do, and then their relationship falls apart. Last few says ask and value his opinion on matters of the home. Plan your weeks out. So plan maybe some meals to have together, any like dates. Devote time away without the kids. So like vacations, dates. Prioritize date nights or day dates. So same thing. If meal times together are impossible, sit down while he eats his dinner. So if you're coming home late, like let's say like this, and this is more so for traditional households. You come home late and dinner time's over as a family, and then you're eating. Still sit with you and talk to you, ask about your day. Care, show interest in his dreams, passions, and career, and pray for him. So this is very like religions based, but those make sense, right? Here you go. Like none of that says neglect your kids. I think that's how I interpreted it, by pinning your spouse first. That's like was pretty spot on with how I interpreted what that means. But people think it means being a pick me and prioritizing men. Like a lot of women are just so messed up. Like they see like taking care of the family man and being traditional as like a weakness, and being a pick me. Like it's crazy. But you can't blame them. They weren't raised in healthy homes and around loving marriages. So yeah, I know that was pretty long drawn out, but that was.
Thank you for that.
That list was good though. I was like, this is exactly what I was thinking. This is how I interpret it. Like nowhere in that was like, oh, let the kids starve and only feed your husband. The kids are crying. No, you need to have sex. Like no, let them cry. No, that's not what that means. These people are just a little slow. Mm-hmm. So I hate it because people don't ever have any introspection with topics. They're so quick to be like, oh my God, I'm tired of Black people and these topics. But there's never any introspection and any deeper dive into what it actually means and understanding of what it means. But hey, you gotta let people lead to their own demise. Like we see it time after time after time. Like it's a repeating trend over generation. Every generation, this continues to happen. And it's going to keep happening. The husbands are going to feel neglected and they're going to go cheat. And it's just going to be divorce, broken home. It's going to be the same cycle because nobody wants to fix it. But I feel like it does start with people have to actually really love each other and like each other before the babies come in the first place. And discuss things before the kids. Like we should be on the same page about discipline before the kids are even here. You know what I mean? So, which we're already on the same page about, right? We're not hitting them. None of that. I'm not doing that. So, yeah.
Oh. All right, lead us into our next one.
Topic. This is another Twitter topic. It's so much stuff comes with Twitter because as I'm scrolling, I'm always seeing stuff. So what I saw on Twitter, I'd actually seen this a while ago, where somebody said that, and I don't know where these topics are coming from, or these talking points are coming from, but she said that, I think it was a TikTok, and then it led to a Twitter conversation about how she felt that people shouldn't feel obligated, like they shouldn't make their friends feel obligated to pick them up from the airport and do stuff like that. And then the conversation extended to you shouldn't, after a certain age, you shouldn't expect your friends to help you move. You should hire movers, right? So then somebody made a tweet saying, y'all be talking about not being obligated to help your friends move, pick them up, / drop them off at the airport. What do you even do for your friends besides show up to their birthday dinners and cause confusion when the bill comes? So a lot of people co-sign this, like, damn, yeah, like you guys don't want to do nothing for your friends, which I get it, right? Like some people I feel like do complain too much a lot about what it is to be a friend. So it's like, okay, yeah, what do you want? But then this made me want to have a conversation. Like, do you feel like our friends like a fall guy? Are they obligated to help you? Like, are they obligated to do things for you? Like, and I feel like this will kind of come down to what is even like your opinion or viewership or definition of what friendship is anyway. Because I think that would be a good way to answer that first and then break it down into what they're obligated to do. So I'm gonna ask you first and then I'll go with my opinion. But what do you think? Like, first of all, like, yeah, what do you think a friend is?
I'm a little bit different than normal people because I don't really require a lot of social aspects to my life. So I don't need a lot of friends. I don't need a lot of family. So for me, I don't require a lot from even friends. So when it comes to what I would want from a friend, it has nothing to do with actions. Like my love language has nothing to do with acts of service, for example. So I don't really actually even like people doing things for me, but I'm a unique case. So I do understand that. But for me, a friend is more so not even emotional support, but I like to gain knowledge from people. So who I consider to be a friend is somebody that could really like teach me things, and maybe somebody I can rely on for knowledge. But I wouldn't use friends for like a psychologist or psychiatrist to talk about my issues. I wouldn't use a friend as a task rabbit to go and help me do things. Like I would never ask really anybody. Like I'm too independent of a person to really ask anybody for anything. So if there's something I need, I'm going to go out and get it myself. And if there's not something that I can go out and get myself, for the most part, I probably just won't do it then. If I can't do it myself, I probably just won't do it. But if it's something critical, like if I need somebody to help me move, then worst case scenario, I'll help. I go and pay somebody to like pay some movers. But my last resort would be to ever ask somebody I consider to be a friend or even family to help me with anything. And I know people's perspective is like, well, what's the point of having them?
Yeah.
But for me, I'm such an independent person, and I've put myself in a position to know a lot about a lot of different things and know a little bit about a lot of different things as well. So I'm like well versed in my skills, so I can do a lot for myself. So the only thing I really need is maybe sometimes some guidance on advice if somebody's been through a situation or things like that, but never emotional support. That's not something I feel like you should put on people, especially friends. Like you're not even like that's kind of a lot. It could be a lot for people because I've seen what that's done to me when people put all their shit on me, especially because I live a very calm life. So like
same.
I don't require a lot, and it's like even putting that emotional burden on people is crazy. So for me, that's a friend, like somebody that could teach me something, and that's essentially it. Like if I had a whole group of just professor type people and had them as friends, then that would be ideal. But anything outside of that, I'm never asking anybody for anything.
Yeah. And that's such an interesting perspective because it's almost like I feel like if you love a person, then you wouldn't even burden them. So that's why I always view that. So that's why it's so interesting, right? Because like I feel like I understand the need for community and you need people. And like I feel like the best thing in life, honestly, like, and like everybody's needs are different, right? Cause I'm similar to you where I've learned that about myself the older I've gotten is that I think I've always thought I wanted a lot of people in my life, and I realized it's not it. Like it's you dealing with too many personalities, too many variables, and then you're more exposed to more dangers. You're more exposed to more likeliness for things to go crazy in your life, right? Like the more people you're around, and then like just in my experience, like with friendships, never had any really friendship that I felt like were fulfilling in any way. Like besides, we partied together, we gossiped, like nothing ever really felt fulfilling except for like the people who I feel are in my life now, and like and you, it's like that's the only time where I feel like I've actually had value out of a friendship. And so I learned that I don't need a lot of people either. I'm very like I wouldn't say I'm hyper independent, but I just feel like I don't require a lot. Like so I feel like you fulfill a lot of any of my social needs. But I don't require that. I love being I love myself, so I love spending a lot of time myself. So my view on friendship is very like the same, similar to yours. Whereas I feel like a lot of people, especially, you know, they might have a different view, especially if they're single, right? They are very dependent on their friendships. Like I've had friends literally get mad at me because I'm not texting them every single day, which is crazy, right? Like, I'm not you're not your man, so like I'm not gonna text you every day. Like, I feel like that's kind of, you know, and everybody has their different things. Like, some people might think texting their friends every day is fine. That's cool. I'm just not that type of person. I don't require that. So, you know, I've had friends who are very like that. So, you know, I think first of all, the best thing in life is find whatever your view of friendship is find friends that align with that. I think that will solve so many people's problems. But yeah, like I don't require a lot out of friendships. I'm very low maintenance. I would consider myself a low maintenance friend. And yeah, like I think friendships are good to have. Just, and yeah, I feel like, yeah, you should have people that you can be able to call to vent and maybe like cry a little bit too, or just talk about life, share advice, get help if you really need help. If all your options are expensed and you really need a friend or somebody to help you, yeah, or that friend might offer, right? If that's just that type of person. But it should never be that they're like like you burdening them. And that's why I feel like you should never burden somebody. If you love them, you wouldn't burden them. Like, you wouldn't call them all the time with your me problems, because like, how do you think they feel? Like, you're sitting there badgering them with a whole bunch of emotional turmoil. Like, you're going through stuff, so they might be feeling that, you know, and they also might be stressed out. Like, are you okay? Like, what's happening now? Are you good? Do you need me to come? Like, you know, if you live long distance, do you need me to come fly to you? Now you're spending money. And yeah, you should do those things for your friend. But when you start like inconveniencing someone else's life, like, how much do you love them as a friend? And yeah, I get you might be there for them during their down season, right? And that's what, like, with friendships was played before. But it's just like, I don't know. So I just feel like, my opinion on it, I don't think your friends obligated to do nothing for you. I don't think anybody's obligated to do anything for you. Literally, like, I think we're born into the world alone. You'll die alone, and that's how I view that. Nobody's obligated to do anything for you. People could want to do things because they love you, and they that's just who they are. But nobody's obligated. And I think my issue I have with, look, you see me, I pick up my family members from the airport all the time. You know, if I had friends that live closer, I'll pick them up too if they needed a ride, right? I don't mind doing those things for people. But what I don't like, I feel like if those people are kind of like plan A's, I feel like with picking up from the airport, fine. Like, if I live 10 minutes from the airport, I know you have a different opinion, but if I live 10 minutes from the airport, like, okay, if I'll come pick you up, like, it's no big deal. Especially if you're paying me, whatever, right? You might take me out to dinner as your payment, right? Cool. But I'm the type of person where that's not a plan A for me. Like, so realistically, like, even if I'm coming to visit you, I'll take an Uber unless you want to come pick me up. Unless you offer, right? Like, you might want to go visit my sister. I've taken an Uber one time to go to her place, but there's been times where she offered to pick me up. If you're gonna offer, I'm not gonna say no. Okay, cool. You know, thank you. But you're never a plan A, and that's the issue I have. And people make them like they'll make plans based around the assumption that you're gonna do something for them, and I don't like that, because it's like you're making plans around me helping you. Like, moving, that's another example she made. I shouldn't be a plan A to move you. Get movers. If you're tight on money, then yeah, maybe, hey, you know, I hate to bother you. I'm really tight on money, but can you help me? That's one thing, right? But you should never be a plan A, in my opinion. And that's my whole thing. It's like, nobody's obligated to do anything, but nobody should be a plan A. Like, your friends should not be plan A. You should not burden them with like that. Where you shouldn't be making plans with that assumption that they're gonna just do it because they're my friend. They're gonna do it. They love me. They're my friend. Like, no one has to do anything for you. If they want to, that's on them. You know. Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting debate. But I think it all boils down to what your opinion on friendship is, what your view on friendship is, what you require out of your friendships. Everybody requires different things from their relationships, their friendships, the familial relationships. So it's all about what you look for in your friends. And some people look for a lot. Some people view their friends as like another half of them, you know, and they're very needy friends. So me personally, no offense, but I'm not a fan of needy friends. Like, I've had clingy friends, and it's just not who I am. So it's like, I'm not really susceptible. No, that's the right word. I'm not really. What's the word when you're like open to receiving? I'm not really receiving. Receptive. I'm not really receptive of clinginess and needy friends, because I feel like that's not. I don't know. It's interesting. Cause maybe I have that perception because I have you. And I have to understand a lot of people don't have that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I try to be like fair and empathetic of that. But yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, everybody just has to find their vibe with their friends. But I don't think people are obligated to do any of those things that they listed. No one's obligated to help you move. No one's obligated to pick you up from the airport. But I say ask if worst case scenario, or like you have no other options, you spend all your options, ask. And if they offer, then if you want to accept the offer, accept it. But don't what I hate, like I've had like my own family members do this, and like no offense to them if they're listening, but it's like, because my mom was just talking about this earlier, like my sister did this, where it's like, hey, you want to do my hair tomorrow? It's like, do I want to do your hair? No, I don't want to do I hate when people do that. Like my dad did that too. Hey, you want to do my taxes? No, I don't. Like, I don't want to do them. Like, just ask. I don't like that, because it was almost kind of like, I get it. Like, they're not saying it. I don't think there's any ill will, but it's just kind of, it comes across kind of like off-putting. Like, no, I don't. Like, you got to ask me, hey, can you do my hair? Can you do my taxes? Do I want it? But hey, do you want to do it? No, I don't. Like, so that's what I mean, where I feel like, when you base your question like that, it's almost sound like obligatory. Like they're obligated to do it. Or you're already like planning for them to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
All right. What do we got next?
Yeah.
All right. So, this has been a common occurrence kind of in the Black American community, where people that are from what we would put under the African diaspora of, people directly from Africa, but also, of course, the islands, because the Africans were, through the slave trade, were deposited into the islands. Of course, there's always the diaspora wars that go on, but, in the Caribbean, people view themselves as being separate from us, coming to America, but still viewing themselves as being separate. Perfectly fine. But the issue always stems from them trying to put themselves above Black Americans, especially when themselves, they're benefiting off of the work and culture of Black Americans. So, to get more specific, basically, Kai Cenat, popular streamer, forget what his lineage is. Trinidadian. Sure. He's not from there. He was born in the United States, so he is an American at the end of the day. But on his recent stream, he was just talking about his moderators, I think specifically for that's a part of his Twitch stream, that Black Americans don't have any culture. Now, the thing about it, and sometimes I try to give grace to people because they're young, but over the course of my time, I've learned to not give grace to people, because even when I was young, I was never dumb and I was never ignorant, and I always tried to inform myself of, because one thing I always hated, and it was kind of more or less a fear of mine, I would say, is speaking while being misinformed. And so I don't give the whole youthful, I'm a young, like, excuse to people. So he is young, but I'm not giving that excuse to people anymore, because when I was young, I wasn't saying or doing dumb shit, to be honest with you. At his age, what is he, like 20, 21? I wasn't doing.
Sure he's like 21.
I wasn't doing dumb shit at that age. So
you literally think about it, at that age we started our full-time careers.
I'm not giving grace to anybody. Now, clearly, for anybody with any common sense, this is a major issue, because his whole image. You good?
Yeah.
his whole image, his career, his popularity, all of that is attributed to Black American culture. It's not attributed to anything that comes from the islands, because none of the Black American culture exists in the islands. If it does, it's because somebody came over here, got it, and went back over there and then spread it. But none of our culture and as Black Americans is a part of their culture. So a lot of his stuff, or the things that made him popular, the place where he lives, it's all predominantly Black American. The way that he dresses is predominantly Black American. His language is predominantly Black American. His dance is predominantly Black American. When he's doing
AAVE, like
the slang he's using,
the vernacular, yep.
The music he's reviewing, like all of these different concepts are Black American culture. And for some reason, people that are outside of Black Americans, when it comes to the overall African diaspora, they view that as not being a cultural thing. Like this
is too.
So I think I already said that, but
I think you got to wear like freaking feathers on your back for it to be cultural gear. Like it's still cultural clothes.
Right. It might be different from the way other people perceive culture, but this is our culture here in America as Black people. So you can't make a whole career off of benefiting off of that, doing all your getting sturdy. That's all. These are all New York concepts that are created by Black Americans. It's not a Caribbean thing. When you go back to these countries, when you go to Africa, these are not concepts that exist there. The music doesn't sound this way. The clothes don't look this way. The language doesn't sound this way. These are not things that exist in these other cultures. This is our shit. Yeah. So one thing that I don't like is when people get to make a whole career, because this is no different than when white people do the whole claiming our appropriation and claiming our culture. It's the same exact thing, whether we share a similar skin tone or not. So to me, this is a problem. We can't have people that claim these other places, which they're not actually even from. He's not actually from these places. He was born in America, so you're an American. But you can't claim these other places and then disrespect it at the same time. This is your whole identity. Talk about
we have identity crises, but literally, no offense, but a lot of first gen, second gen, you guys are the real identity crisis people, because like your culture comes from your parents, but you never grew up in the places that you claim so heavily, and you try to talk shit about us. Nigga, I've been here for centuries.
And this is not to start a whole diaspora.
Relate to that? No.
It's not a whole diaspora war thing, and I'm not trying to start it, but I will respond. I will respond to people making comments about this stuff. Like, you can't disrespect something that you benefited from. If you brought, because that's the thing about it, which I think they don't understand. If you brought wherever you're from, he's Trinidadian. If you brought that Trinidadian culture to America, you're not going to be popular. It wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't be received at all.
Yeah.
So you're benefiting from the Bronx, New York, and all of the culture that comes out of there, and you can't then turn around and disrespect it and say that Black Americans have no culture. You are claiming Black American culture with everything that you do, and without doing that, you would still be broke in the Bronx if you were doing your Trinidadian
Literally. That's why I want to tell them, everybody who says we have no culture, then practice your culture 100%. The dress, the language, the music. Don't do anything outside of that then. So then see how much culture we really have at that point, because that would be a way for them to see it.
Right.
Don't indulge in anything. Don't speak like us. Don't say anything.
Because then he would still have the rats running around in the apartment. Because and you know what the thing is, I fuck with Kai, so he's
that's why this is a shame. Like, this made me view him like way differently. Like, I don't like that. And he's done, it's like a trigger for me.
Right, and he's done a lot, but like, don't disrespect the brothers that live in the AMP house with you.
Literally, you could tell that a lot of them are. Like Duke, right?
Yeah, he's from South Carolina. Like, that's like southern.
People don't want to admit this, but you can't tell visually when someone's African American. Like, I know that was a whole debate, but I mean, we have 20% European DNA, and we have like other stuff mixed in. Like, I don't know. We could just, appearance wise, some of us you could just look and tell.
I don't even care about.
But that sounds like that's too much. Like,
I don't even care about all of that. But it's because people look differently. Like,
kinda.
Specifically, don't benefit from the culture and then disrespect it, because you just look like a weirdo at the end of the day. But recognize what it is that you've benefited from with this culture,
and your fan base too. Like, you're disrespecting your own fan base, the people that are making you rich. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of just young Black boys literally growing up in the South somewhere, just looking up to you, and you just called them all
uncultured.
What? So
it moved down to the most prominently Black American city.
Literally, Atlanta, like the Mecca of Black America. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, it was a little weird. I don't really like. I fuck with him because I see what he's done, but I don't particularly like tune in to him.
I never was a big fan of him anyway. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I do always end up feeling a way about like a lot of like first gen or direct immigrants that come here and like I love Nikki, but I do sometimes like, damn, she's Trinidadian. Like, at the end of the day, like she came up in here and they love to say it's assimilation, but how come it's assimilation when they do it, but it's appropriation when white people do it, right? Like, if a white girl or an Asian girl gets on the internet, or Hispanic, right, and she's talking in slang, they're like, damn, she's appropriating. But she might have grew up in it, right?
Right. She also might be from America longer than you've been in it.
Literally. And they'll call that appropriation, but they think because we share the same skin tone, oh, it's assimilation. They're assimilating. Like, no, it's appropriation too. Like, let's be real. It is in a sense. So yeah, it's like, I love Nikki, right? But like, as I got older, I realized she is an immigrant. Like, I think she's directly an immigrant, or I think she moved, right? She was born in Trinidad. So it's like, she came in, she assimilated, appropriated hip hop culture, and she succeeded in it. She's very talented in it, which is fine, right? But that's what it, like, call a spade a spade. That's still what it is at the end of the day. Like, there should still be an appreciation and acknowledgement of the culture that you are a guest in. Really, you're a guest. You're great. You're an icon. You dominated it. Same with Biggie Smalls, but it's like you're a guest in it. Like, let's be honest. and like you just happen to be good. So like it rubs me the wrong way sometimes when like, you know, a lot of like outsiders of the culture infiltrate it and then they end up dominating it, right? Because they are talented people, but then they disrespect it, and that's crazy to me because it should be love, you know. It should be all love. Like you living in the land because of our people fighting for you to be here. Like there was no freaking immigration. Why would they want more? They didn't want the black people that they forced here. They didn't even want us here. So why the fuck would they want you here? We fought for you to come here because we wanted our brothers and sisters to come and join and be able to live the American dream. And then this is how you respect us. All right, noted. Yeah, that's why you short and ugly. I was kidding.
See, but that's where people lose. I'm joking. But so you gotta stop doing that because that's where people lose the intellectual part of the conversation. I know. Stop. But yeah. Yeah, you got anything else?
Well, no, I'm saying like it is annoying though. Like honestly, like it's for me. That's why I get mad because it's more so it's disappointing. I would say more so than anything, because it's like that. You know, like I feel like from us, we always worked in love. But I feel like for a lot of Black Americans, what it was before is there was a sense, and that's where the whole movement started with like the Jesse Jacksons and the whole the terminology African American where it even came from, right? Because and like the Pan Africanism, I think that a lot of Black Americans were feeling this sense of like they want to connect with their people from home and across the diaspora, right? And I feel like we always were so like open arms, and this is kind of what we get back. And like I get some of the arguments was like when we were growing up, a lot of people would call them African booty scratchers. Like that's their thing. That's their thing. And I acknowledge that definitely did probably happen, right? With us doing that to them. But it's like you taking childhood school bullying, like and comparing that to like what I consider like systematic like erasure, right? Because like, that's what this is. Like for me, it's considered erasure of a culture, because by someone like Hayek saying there is none, that makes everything that he's doing seem like it's non-existent. Like it's not Black American culture. It's just American culture. Or it's just him, or it's just Black culture. So everybody who's Black can just take it. But it takes away the acknowledgement of it being Black American specific culture. So for me, it's like, how do you? Like, my like thing is, my fear is like, how do you repair this? Because like if you know what I like though, I think what we're seeing a lot of Black Americans, maybe it's because it's Tariq Nasheed, right, and this whole FBA thing, they are really being vocal about it. So maybe we're really fighting it back against it. But I do have a fear of erasure happening.
Erasure can't happen though.
But you know what I mean though? Like so many people are gonna come here and like take it over.
Yeah, but the reason why it can't ever happen is because they're still outnumbered. They still have to get the blueprint. At the end of the day,
that's true. So and the blueprint is embedded in the households.
Because I would compare it to like why a company like Shein or Fashion Nova or Temu, all these different brands, why they can't exist without the luxury brand existing. Because all their whole brand is copying. And I'm not saying that their culture is all about copying, but if you take hip hop culture, Black American culture overall, and let's just say it just ceased to exist, then there would be nothing else, right? Kind of like how streetwear kind of fizzled out when Virgil died, yeah. And or when he just kind of stopped leaning into it, when he sold off white and all that other stuff.
Yeah, everybody's looking around lost next.
Everybody's looking lost, and everybody, the only thing that people have been doing is just replicating all shit that he's already done, because that's like what existed. So it's like one of those things. So that's why I think it can't ever be erased, because there's always going to need to be, as long as there's Black Americans, there will always be a differentiation, because that is the blueprint at the end of the day.
It is.
There can be as much integration as possible. All these different things can occur. But my parents gave birth to 3 different Black children, so we could give birth to 3 different Black children each. That's 9 of us. There's always going to be some sort of multiplication. Like it could keep going on forever. So I don't fear erasure in the same way that probably like white people have. We've seen that they are concerned about erasure when it comes to their culture and integration and infiltration.
Especially because we're like a quote unquote minority, but we're a loud minority. Like our culture, you see, it impacts the world. Everywhere you go, like we traveled to a lot of places, you see a lot of hip hop, the remnants of it. You see
19 hours away, 19-hour flights
like
away.
You see the jerseys, the shirts they're wearing, like the hip hop clothes that came out of hip hop culture, like late, like all over the diaspora. Like people love to talk shit, but you see in Africa they wearing lace fronts with the baby hairs how we styled. And baby hairs came from Black American women. Like, let's make that clear. That came from, like, what's her name? Josephine Baker in the 1920s. That's where the whole baby hair thing came from. Because it came from the fact that we had to do our hair to assimilate to white culture, right? And then we figured, okay, we have these edges. What are we gonna do with these edges? And then Josephine Baker slicked them down, and that's where that came from. Like, let's be real. That's where like the whole wig concept came from, Black America. So it was like the way we do them, like the lace fronts. So the women are looking to us for what's next with the hairstyles. Every time you see somebody like a Jada Waiter doing something here, they doing that shit in the Caribbean and Africa. So I need them to stop. Like, I need them to stop. Cause no offense, your culture is not superseding the world. It's not. Black American, like when people say Black culture, we're talking about us. Like, let's be real. You could look it up. Go Google Black culture and go to Google Images and look at the pictures. You're gonna see bamboo earrings. You're gonna see baby hairs. You're gonna see grills. They're not talking about any other Black people outside of Black Americans. So I need people to stop acting like there's no culture. Like, we are the culture. Literally, we are. So, like, I love my Black people, like I said, all around the world, but nobody's.
We don't love our Black people all around the world.
I love the Black people who respect.
There we go. I love the Black people that
my
respect
culture.
us. And aside from just the Black people, me personally,
I respect your culture. I respect your jollof rice. Your, what's the Eritrean dance that they do? The Ethiopian, the shoulder thing.
Skita.
It's a certain name for it.
Skita.
Yeah, I all that stuff is cool to me. I think I have friends from all these cultures. Everybody has beautiful culture, but disrespect mine too. Mine is just as beautiful and the most popular. So, like, disrespect the same way I respect yours. Respect mine. Like, it's real simple. And for the Caribbeans, they are really delusional because they're in the same boat as us. The only difference is they literally just got dropped off in the Caribbean and we got dropped off here. So how's your culture any more valid than ours when it started around the same exact time, right? Like, they're so delusional.
Yeah.
You love it so much, but you live here. That's ironic. If I love my country so much, I will be there, fighting, living there. Even if it's not the best place to live, I'll be fighting for it. Cause I love it that much. But hey, that's just me. So I need Kai to stop. Now he got me amped up. Ooh, that's a bar. Get it?
Except it's AMP, but yeah.
Same thing.
It's all right.
Well, let me get a bar for that. You got me.
Anything else?
You got me.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
AMP, American.
Go ahead, finish it. American what? American what?
American murder.
Yeah, American murder. All right, American murder pact. I know. All right. Anything else?
We gonna get him out of here.
We're not gonna
Let me
get
not
him
say
out
that
of
because
here.
then God forbid something happens, they can be like, "She said it." I'm just kidding. But nah, I mean, maybe I think Kai is the type of person. I mean, low key, he be the person that sucks up to fix things when he's getting a lot of like hate. But if this gets enough like, I mean, I heard it through you, and then I saw the TikTok and I saw the tweet. So like, it seems like it's trickling through, and maybe it'll spread more. But I feel like he'll be the type of person that if it potentially just blows up, that maybe he'll come back and like correct himself. You know.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. He's still setting. He still probably feels that way. And
yeah, because that's the thing.
still,
apologies don't mean anything to me. Because
Yeah.
to me, the best apology is to never do the shit in the first place.
Yeah, you felt it. 'Cause you
felt
said
it, and even if you apologize, you still feel
Yeah.
that way. You're just apologizing because there's backlash. So he feels that way.
Yeah.
He feels like whatever their version
It's
of
it's so disrespectful.
whatever. That's what it is.
So I would just hope, honestly, for my Black Americans, I mean, the kids are not gonna be headstrong
'Cause
enough
they
to
don't
do it, but
care.
Please, like stop supporting these people. Like, they don't respect you. They don't love you. They don't care. They're just using your money.
But I think the thing about the new
Maybe he'll
generation,
save his money and move to Trinidad. That would be nice, actually.
nah, he would never.
He loves. He's Trinidadian. That's his culture. His culture. He loves it. She should go live there. Get out of Atlanta.
Yeah, but he won't do that.
Exactly. Because the cultural pride is
From a
BS.
distance. It's from a distance.
It's from a distance. They feel cool because they feel like it represents something. They say they could put a flag in there, but that's all. So could we. I could put the American flag. Still a flag. And I sound like the white Trumps. Go home. Go back to the Caribbean.
Oh,
But he can't go back because he was born here.
Yeah, he would have to get a visa or something.
That's the funny part. Back home, a lot of his own people don't even view him as Trinidadian. They think it's annoying, actually, that American-born, first-generation like immigrants.
Stop topping that.
Sorry.
I'm doing it all podcasts.
That happens to be on podcasts. But yeah, they actually back home, like in Africa and Caribbean, look down actually on a lot of the first gen who still claim it.
That's why I said that. Like all of his cultural values, and yeah, you could have grown up in a house with someone that was directly from these places, but you weren't there, so you don't have the culture that comes from actually being physically in a place.
Yeah.
Like just in the same way where I gave the example earlier when we were talking about like my parents and my parents' parents, they're from the South, so like I can't claim the Southern culture in America because I'm not from there. Like, yeah, I'm descendants of it, but I'm not from there. Mine is from the North.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've lived in New Jersey my entire life. I can't claim anything that is from the South. My lineage is from there, but I'm not gonna go down South and all of a sudden start speaking in a Southern Black American accent.
Our Black American culture is the Great Migration era.
Like
culture,
that's the equivalent of it. Am I gonna go down there and start talking with a Southern twang? No, but that's what people do when they come from a lineage of being from somewhere from the islands or from like Jamaica. Then they're gonna start speaking patois randomly out of nowhere.
So
like you're from
whack.
New York, like you're from New Jersey. You're not from these places. Like you have an American accent, like not more specifically, you have a Black American accent from being within traditional neighborhoods or hoods in these places where Black people are traditionally from. So even me, I'm never gonna claim a place that I wasn't actually born at. Like that's weird.
Like imagine me being like Mississippi, hey Mississippi. No, like that's where my ancestors from. That's where my grandma's from. That's where my roots are.
No,
I don't know nothing about Mississippi. I haven't been there yet.
I don't know them people, and I wouldn't go down there and walk around as if I knew them people just because my parents might be from there or my grandparents might be from there. That's not where I am personally from.
Mm-hmm.
So people claiming their parents, the country from where their parents came from, acknowledge it. Go ahead, all day long. Go ahead and acknowledge where they're from. You still grew up with
the food. You still grew up with their accents, right? You 100%. Still grew up with the music. So it's still your culture.
School,
but
where you went to school, who your friends were,
mm-hmm.
And especially the persona that you're giving off to the internet, it's not your culture from back home.
That's
go take some of that New York drill and go take it to Jamaica and see if they're rocking with it. Go take it to Trinidad and see if they're rocking with it. They're gonna shoot you in your face.
Yeah.
And do the opposite. Bring some of that Trinidadian music up here to New York. People ain't rocking with that.
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect. It's just a fact. Like we don't rock with people in the islands, and people from the islands don't rock with us because it's two different cultures.
Exactly what Kool Herc said. And they try to say, oh, hip hop is from Jamaican man. No, Kool Herc was assimilating to Black American culture because they didn't want to hear that shit. When he started playing Jamaican stuff, they were like, turn that shit off.
Yeah, and we've seen it.
So he assimilated.
And we've seen that even in parties.
Jamaican culture is not hip hop, so let's stop.
Yeah, there's a differentiation, and it's not to start a war, but it's like don't
respect.
benefit from it and then disrespect it at the same time, and that's it.
That's all it's good. Like it's really not a war. Like I said, I love and acknowledge all separate cultures. Like I think everybody's separate culture is like beautiful, and they all have their own history. Like I love the food. I love trying the different food. I love East African food. I love West African food. I just want there to be a respect. That's all. Like I just feel like we're the only group that doesn't get their respect. Everybody gets their days. They get to rep their flags. They get to put their flags in their bios. But the second that we into the conversation, being the most influential culture, is like all this controversy, and everybody wants to jump on. Everybody wants to appropriate. Everybody wants to be included in it. I don't like that because we don't do that to anybody else's stuff. Like I would never move to another country and act like that shit is my shit. Like no, it's crazy. So I just don't understand. I really don't.
One of the topics that has come up, and we'll speak about it later in the podcast, has been about A$AP Rocky because he came back and disrespected Drake in his diss and on the new Metro album. And there's been a lot of backlash that has come from this, where people have started to disrespect A$AP when it comes to his influence in music, and also because he said that he's done wearing Balenciaga and he's tired of wearing Rick Owens. So from the music part, I'm going to keep that separate because I can have the separate conversation when it comes to the musical aspect of it. But when it comes to the fashion, I think it's very important for A$AP to get his flowers when it comes to the fashion stuff. So in my opinion, when it comes to fashion and hip hop, the most critical and influential people ever is number one, Pharrell Williams, because he brought a lot of the branding and Japanese influence and culture, and graphic tee designs and skateboard culture. He brought a lot of different elements of blending hip hop with different genres around the world, which has created this whole culture in itself when it comes to skateboard culture, specifically when it comes to apparel. Like Bape, I feel like you might as well just give him full responsibility of the success of Bape as a global brand and icon.
I give him like 90%. Wait, cause he's the one who kind of put on.
Kinda. He's the one that put on Nigo into America.
No. Oh yeah, no, for sure. But I'm just meaning like, what's his name? Oh, what's that guy? His name starts with an S. Hop up out of bed, put my swag on.
Soulja Boy?
Yeah, I feel like wasn't he like a big part of like people wearing that?
Making
like,
Bape? No, because that's
he was wearing Bape, and like he kind of made it like a thing.
People didn't know what Bapestas was.
I know, but like he was like, I'm not.
Nah, I cannot give credit to.
No, I'm not giving him credit. I just feel like he was kind of a part of that though. Like we're tuning in like regular black people from the streets. Like you know what I mean? I got me some bathing. That's the first time I ever heard of Bape. When he said I got me some bathing apes. That's the first time I heard of Bape. Me personally, I'm saying everybody has a different, introduction. But I think he was part of it. We can't say that he was not part of it. Like Soulja Boy was a huge influential in general in hip hop. So he was like, with the whole, like he was like kind of intro to what we see now with Gen Z and stuff. But he was a part of it. But no, primarily 100% is Pharrell.
And then number 2, I would give it to Kanye. A lot of what Kanye has gifted to the world really does come from Pharrell specifically, but he's done his own interpolations of that Pharrell influence, especially when it comes to the Japanese culture. And of course, what he's done with his own Yeezy brand in itself, which is completely separate from Pharrell. Yeezy, I would definitely say is number 2. Mm-hmm. And then 3, in my opinion, it would have to be A$AP Rocky. And honestly, it's kind of hard for me even to put him down on that lower third, because I would argue that even A$AP Rocky's influence on fashion is somewhat more influential than Kanye. And the reason for it is because I think Kanye's influence, I'm kind of giving him the number 2 spot just as like a whatever, he kind of came first thing. But realistically, when I think about it, it's Kanye gave us a lot of different things. He gave us the pink polos. He gave us the Yeezy seasons. He gave us the Yeezys, obviously, which is like nuts. But in terms of the amount of brands that I feel like A$AP Rocky is responsible for, I think it low-key outweighs a lot of Kanye.
I kind of would put them on equal stance. I think they're equal. Because Kanye did have, like, you see everybody's wearing these wet tees. Like, anything that he does, people love and are obsessed with. Like, they'll do it. Like, even with just the way his wife Bianca now is dressing, people are judging it, but the people who are into fashion are recognizing, like, oh shit, like she's doing something. Like, she wore some other things the other day. What are those shoes called? The Margiela shoes, the tabbies. She wore some tabby heels with tape. It was like called the tabby tapes shoes. You ever see that? It's like heels, and then it's like the front part of the heel is tape. And it was like a specific period in time in fashion that was a thing, and all the fashion girls recognized it. Like, damn, she wearing the tabby tapes. Like, that's fire. So it's like the fashion people are recognizing that she's kind of starting this new wave. So people are continuously still looking. And everything that he's doing, like, people are showing pictures that he wore, like, in 2018, 2019. Like, damn, this that niggas are dressing now. Like, so there's always a continuous acknowledgement of his impact. So I think that he's on equal playing field with A$AP. That might be a hot take. I don't know, man. Yeah, I said it's equal.
I don't think it is, only because I think that the amount of brands Kanye has put, the amount of brands that A$AP has put people onto outweighs the couple brands that Kanye has put people onto.
But it's not even the brand thing. I'm talking about just like impact in fashion in general. Like to this day that people are still mimicking the Kanye aesthetic. Like Skims at its core is Kanye aesthetic.
Right.
The neutrals,
and to me, the amount of brands that A$AP Rocky has put people onto is still, to me, outweighs that.
But there's a difference between putting people on and people actually emulating it. Because A$AP Rocky definitely put people onto the high fashion stuff, but the average person can't afford the brands he's talking about.
Even people emulating it. But prior, especially with a lot of brands that A$AP was even talking about, you didn't even see Kanye wear it until A$AP brought it up.
Yeah, it's true.
When I'm talking about Rick Owens, it's people emulating it and also still purchasing it.
Well, see, the debate has to be like, the impact to other people or impact to the world as a whole. But
I think that's the impact to the world as a whole, though.
It is, but yeah, it is, because the world as a whole mimics what celebrities are doing, and the celebrities are only doing a lot of stuff because of what A$AP was doing.
If people want to argue the Yeezys, obviously nobody can touch Yeezys. Like, that's its own thing.
Which is the aesthetic. Like, the Yeezy aesthetic has been was like a huge, like, when people think late 2010s fashion is the Yeezy aesthetic. Like, we think Life of Pablo up until like now. that Yeezy aesthetic is gonna be like a huge. When people look back, that's gonna be a huge, like, fashion trend. The neutrals, and like you could not even say the Yeezy aesthetic, but like the Yeezy camp, like the Jerry Lorenzos, the whole like layering thing, like everything that comes from the Yeezy umbrella is gonna definitely have a stamp. It had already his stamp from like the late 2010s to now. The Skims being as like a trickle down effect. Now the wet tees. There's definitely gonna always just be this like, and not everybody. I see Yeezys everywhere now in the gym. Like this before, it used to be crazy seeing them. Like they're everywhere now. But I see. I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with your stance. I just, in my opinion, I put him on a level playing field. But I'm not disagreeing with your stance. I understand your perspective. So you just have him slightly higher.
No, I still had Kanye too. I said I put him 3.
But you just feel like
but
it's close.
I'm still saying that I think that Kanye's influence is measurable, and I think that because ASAP's influence isn't measurable, I think that people tend to disregard his importance when it comes to fashion, because nobody was wearing Rick Owens. Even Kanye West was not wearing Rick Owens prior to
I agree with that.
To ASAP Rocky bringing it up to Jeremy Scott Adidas before Kanye even had an Adidas deal. The Raf Simons, Kanye wasn't wearing Raf Simons until ASAP Rocky brought it up. And all the influence that Raf Simons has had, even just as a name. Basically, all of those names that are in the Fashion Killer song itself.
Every brand that he mentioned.
It's become popular.
Nobody back then even knew what they were. I didn't.
Right. Like Isabel Marant has become way more popular over the years. Like all of these different concepts, these were things that he was actively wearing. And while granted, Kanye, of course, was a style icon, of course, legend, and will always be more than ASAP, mostly because I actually think that it's just easier to emulate. When it comes to like the Chelsea boots, there were so many different dupes of it. I think ASAP is a little bit harder to emulate because of the specific stuff that he buys.
Yeah, his stuff was too specific.
But to me, it's kind of difficult to measure. I think from a footwear standpoint, Kanye, I don't think anybody might ever touch that again. But clothing, I don't know. I think that 2016 Life of Pablo era, sure. But after that, I think more people will look to ASAP, mostly just because Kanye wears like a lot of sweatpants and stuff now. He doesn't dress like that anymore.
But you know what? People look to ASAP though more so for like people who are really into fashion. I think Kanye is more digestible.
Because it's basic.
It's basic, yeah. So most people are gonna lean towards basic. Like stuff that ASAP Rocky wears is really just really influential on the fashion world. And then there ends up being a trickle down effect that's diluted, you know. But like that main impact is gonna be like people are gonna look to ASAP are gonna be the people who are really into fashion. But anybody could look to Kanye, you know what I mean? Like because his fashion is so much like easier to obtain, easier to dupe. Whereas ASAP is a little bit more like, all right, if I want these Rick Owens, I gotta get either Rick Owens or I gotta get a really close dupe. And all these dupes of Rick Owens just started appearing. There weren't really a lot of dupes for them until now, because now people know they're a thing. So that's where I feel like Kanye maybe had more of an effect on mainstream. But ASAP had like an indirect effect on mainstream because he impacted the celebrities and the people who are into fashion. And there was a trickle down dilution effect onto everybody else. For sure. The Rick Owens is the easiest pinpointable thing. Which is so interesting though, because how do people get onto them so late? Because it's not like he was wearing them like now. You know what I mean? Like he still is.
I think I might have only seen him wear Ramones like once.
Yeah. But he wore the Geo baskets, right? Or were those dunks? Did he have dunks?
He has dunks, I think.
There was a picture where he was wearing the ones that had like that looked like the dunks with the Geo basket top was like flared out. I couldn't tell if they were Geo basket or they were dunks, but that was like 2011 though, that picture.
Yeah, I think it's a knowledge thing. People just becoming more aware. And we don't have to debate about who's more influential, to be honest. I was all kind of really unnecessary, to be honest, but I just kind of wanted to acknowledge just his importance and people trying to disregard that aspect of it, because I saw people getting mad that he was saying that he doesn't want to wear Balenciaga or wear Rick Owens anymore. And I think number one, part of the reason why people are mad is because when people listen to something like where he might say Raf Simons, Rick Owens, usually what I'm dressed in, people will go and buy Raf Simons and Rick Owens because he said it. So that means it's okay. It's a cosign. So that means it's cool to go buy it. And then he turns around and says, I'm not even wearing that no more. But it's like people invested their whole lives. Like he might have said that bar 13 years ago, to be honest, maybe 12 years ago. People invest their lives. They couldn't get it before, or maybe they got a dupe before. Now they can get it, and now they buy it, and now they feel like it's whack now because he said it. So I think people are getting mad about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
And the influence of Balenciaga everywhere. Like everybody loves Balenciaga now. Yeah. And then him just to turn around. So people were like kind of coming at him about that part of it, but it's like.
But that's really what fashion is.
He's put people onto everything. Like so much of the way people dress is being
tired of it though, because if you were indulged in this for so long, way before everybody else, of course you're gonna be tired of it.
Yeah,
now.
if you're wearing the same brand for like 12 years, obviously
like,
it makes sense.
You might want a new look. Like that's normal. But what I would hope he's not doing is just that whole everybody's on it now. It's whack. Like sometimes people do that. They're guilty of that. Like they see that so many people are on to some things, and now you're kind of like annoyed. So I would hope that's not what he's doing. Like you try to put everybody onto it, and now you're mad that people are onto it. It's like I just hope that's not what he's doing. Put it on. But I just hope that's not what he's doing. Because how do you get tired of a brand? If you love a brand, are you ever tired of it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because I think that would be like the equivalent of you have a TV show that you like and then they just keep making 20 more seasons and then eventually you're going to get tired of it. Like but
it's like, damn, don't hate on it though. Like when that was like a huge part of you at one point. Like,
but it's also not hating on it though by saying I'm starting to get tired of the brand. That's not hating on it.
It's not hating on it. But it's like, damn, you bigged it up for so long to now be like, I'm tired of you. It's not to say hating, but it's kind of weird because like they, at one point that was everything to you and now it's like, oh.
That was 12 years ago though.
Yeah, but what's he wearing now then? What's this new brand?
Bottega.
Oh, yeah. Louis Vuitton. Louis, yeah. But I feel he was always wearing those brands though.
Not the way.
There's no way that he wasn't dabbling into it before. So you think he leaned into more? Yeah, he definitely leaned into rap.
When was the last time you seen him with like a Rick Owens like short? Or
and that was like so he definitely leaned into those brands in particular back in like the 2010s.
Yeah, because you remember like that whole gothic brand.
Yeah, the long line, Rick Owens stuff.
He's been not doing it, but I just wanted him to more so just get like people need to understand where a lot of these things come from and
give him his flowers
and give the credit where it's due, because one thing that people won't ever recognize is that whether directly or indirectly, he is the reason why a lot of people wear the things that they do. Yeah. Because these rappers, when they're talking about, Emilio Pucci, and I mean, that's not a brand that he ever specifically referenced, but when rappers are referencing these different brands nowadays, they're popular. Like, the rappers are popular, so people are going to just go and gravitate towards it and buy it just because they said it. But remember who was onto it first.
Remember why they're probably
and remember and remember who put those rappers on most likely or made the brand popular. Like
they grew up listening to Peso, so they are knowledgeable or fashion killer, right? So they're like, write that down, write that down.
Right, or any of the other stuff like HBA. Like let's remember like with Cardi trying to bring HBA back slightly. Like
and Rihanna tried to bring it back too. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she's always like kind of worn HBA, but just remember where it all comes from, and a lot of these brands and the way that we dress comes from him popularizing it. ASAP. Like Gucci and the black community, Dapper Dan was a huge part of that, and we'll give him his credit for that. Mm-hmm. Louis Vuitton's always kind of been a thing. Kanye's always been a champion of Louis Vuitton. Yep. Off-White, everybody's kind of worn Off-White.
But that's still Kanye, because Virgil came out of Kanye's. And like it's Kanye, but it's also kind of ASAP too, because that was just that time,
right?
Like it was just like one of those things where the timing to everybody was just that was just what that was at the time. It was like the ASAP. You had the Ian Connors, Kanye, Cardi, Virgil, Jerry Lorenzo. It was just that was just that era. Like, and they all meshed. They all ended up intersecting.
And like Celine has become insanely popular right now. I remember in like 2011 when that Celine Color Block dress shirt came out, and all the rappers were wearing it, but like. Celine being popular now, just understand who's the people that really like made it become a thing. And I'm not saying that they made Celine, not by any stretch of the imagination, because like there's been a lot of really important designers that have designed for Celine, but that whole concept, like these things that people are buying today, the Chrome Hearts, all that stuff, they've been in existence. Like, let's not act like this is a new discovery, a new find that people are like just finding today and making it popular. Like these things have been popular.
A picture of Jay-Z at like a basketball game wearing Chrome Hearts, and everybody was like, and the picture's from like 20, like 2009, something like that. Everybody's like, what? Like, why is everybody gasping? Like, this brand has been around since like what, the 70s, the 80s? Like,
yeah, people have been wearing Chrome Hearts forever. Like, it's been a thing. Obviously, it became popularized now, but it's like,
and ironically, I'm wearing it right now.
Just don't forget who put people on to certain things, right? Like, what's that jacket, Margiela? Like, let's understand when people are talking about
2011
Margiela, all I see is numbers. Like, understand who put you.
People are putting it on their birthday cakes,
right? Like, understand who put you onto these things, and don't disrespect ASAP of all people when he put most of these rappers, most of these people on to these brands, because nobody else in hip hop was rapping about these things.
High end.
Nobody was wearing high end except for maybe Kanye.
It was just Gucci.
It was Gucci. It was a whole lot of Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Nobody else was delving into these different brands.
It would be actually any black person, like my mom's obviously was born in the 70s. Actually, any black person who's born in the 70s, 80s, that's all they cared about was Gucci. My mom always talks about that. Like, that's why, that's my mom's. You notice that's her favorite brand, because it's just like ingrained in her brain. That was like the symbol of the status symbol for black Americans for the longest. Now it's Rap, Rick, Bottega. I can't keep up no more. But who was at the forefront of it?
He was the one.
Like, he was the one. He was been into that. No one had to influence him to be into that. I mean, I'm sure he has some influences around him, right? New York people was always into fashion.
Yeah, he just said he attributes it to a lot of like just the Harlem.
Yeah, that's where the whole Harlem fashion thing comes
But also
from.
just being downtown. He said just being in the LES.
Yeah.
But
and probably being around like the white people that were on it too, you know.
But yeah, I just wanted him to
give him his flowers.
Yeah, and have people acknowledge it, because just because he doesn't want to wear the brand anymore doesn't make it like open to disrespect, especially from the Drake fans. But we'll talk about the diss.
Because now they want to take away all his impact. I'm like, boy, like, let's not do that. Like, you could agree to disagree on different things, but let's not take away his impact, because like he was a huge impact. Like, I could personally say I've been into fashion clothes for a while, and I could personally say ASAP was the person. I didn't know what Raf Simons was until I heard Peso. I don't know what Rick Owens was. Like, he put me onto so many brands, right? And then obviously I met you, and we just built upon that, and like we kind, you kind of got into these things together. But that was my first introduction. Kanye, like you said too, the Margiela. I didn't know Margiela. I don't know any of these brands until Kanye and ASAP. Those are my two. Pharrell, for me, didn't have any really direct impact because I didn't really listen to him. I didn't really I wasn't really too privy with his side of the fashion impact. But Kanye and ASAP are my main two. Now you can see I wore that comb they F down hat. That was what, 2013. I got that hat. Remember I brought you it, and that's what we Comme des Garçons. That's how I found out about Comme des Garçons. Was ASAP. So you see, like, you saw like the real time impact on me, right? Because I had that hat and I brought you the same one. Like, that was ASAP. So that's crazy to even think to like even bring up that specific example, because that's another brand, CDG. Like, he put me on. So it's like, we need to give him his flowers. And like, you see what CDG turned into. Everybody wearing the Heart sneakers.
Yeah.
Like, ASAP was on that. Like, he had that Comme des F down hat, like that beanie. So everybody do your research. I know these little kids, they wasn't there, so they won't understand. They were great when all this was going down. Like, so they don't get it.
Yeah.
But the Drake fans, they gotta stop. Like, you could be a fan of somebody, but don't disrespect and dilute and like diminish somebody's impact. Like, that's crazy. Like, to even for him to even still be relevant this long says a lot. Like, he doesn't have to drop another album. So, and I hear some Drake fans are saying like, "Oh, why you guys keep bringing up his fashion? Like, it's rap. But I'm like, are you a real hip hop fan? Because fashion is hip hop. Fashion is rap. That's always been an element of it since the beginning. We could talk about what's his name? Mick Jagger, right? Like the not Mick Jagger. What's his name?
Mick Jagger. MC Hammer. Mick Jagger. I'm like, that's not hip hop. That definitely is hip hop.
MC Hammer. Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger is insane.
I don't know where that came from.
He got the moves like Jagger.
MC Hammer, right? The pants. Who's the Reverend Run? What's his name? Run DMC. The Adidas. Damn. I don't know if they heard that, people yelling. But yeah, fashion has always been hip hop. So to act like ASAP's impact on the fashion element of hip hop is irrelevant is crazy. Like, these Drake fans aren't real hip hop fans. We could get into that later, but a lot of Drake fans are not hip hop fans. How you gonna say that's irrelevant? Like, hip hop was founded on fashion. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, Black Americans, we love fashion. I don't know if that's rooted from slavery, but we love flashing, flashy clothes. We love flexing. Like, So to say that it's not irrelevant, it's just crazy. So yeah, we gotta give him his flowers. And I hope people realize, like, and the people that really matter realize that's what matters. But, you know, just want more people to realize the impact.
So Drake, he had his diss track leak. There's been a number of different titles that people give it, like Push Ups, Drop Down, Give Me 50, a bunch of different titles that people are giving it. I don't know if they're what the official title of it is, especially because it wasn't put out like as an actual release, I guess, more or less. So I'm gonna do a full breakdown. We're gonna do a full breakdown of the lyrics. We won't be able to play it because I don't want to risk any of the video getting taken down. So I'll read the lyrics, but I'm not going to actually play the song. So if you want to hear it, go somewhere else to another video, and then you can go listen to it from there. But I'll do a full lyric breakdown. Before any of the Drake fans click off or any of the Kendrick fans click off, what I'm going to say is that this will be completely unbiased opinion on the track itself. So it will be not coming from a fan's perspective on either side. It's going to be a literal breakdown when it comes to a diss. So stick around, and I think you'll enjoy it because it's going to be completely unbiased, and like most of the videos that people are going to see where it's like, oh my God, Drake, he blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, we're not doing all that. And we're also not going to be like, Kendrick clear. Like, we're not doing any of that. So he dropped this, so I think it's called Push Ups. They're saying drop and give me 50 in parentheses, but first and foremost, I think that my initial thought when I saw this as a leak is that it's kind of, not even kind of, it's weak that it was a leak. Because I think that when people do stuff like leak songs, especially when it comes to a diss record, like, you can control who has access to the song. Like, the song leaked, but it didn't really leak. This is one of those things where it's a forced leak where somebody will be able to always come back and say, oh, it was unfinished, it was this, it was that, because we saw that initially it was a reference. Then, you know, not too much later in the day, maybe 20 minutes later even, then a whole different version comes out with a different beat. So it's like you have all these multiple leaks of the diss track. It's a little like, people can hide behind the fact that it's a leak, and they can always say, oh, it was unfinished, it was a leak, if people decide that they don't like the song. So I thought that part was honestly super weak. Just put the song out. We don't need to do fake leaks, and people have done that before. Like, put out a fake leak and then see if people like it, then you turn around and make it an official release. So to me, first and foremost, I think that's corny. And I think that was done on purpose. So, do you have anything before I begin the line by line breakdown?
Yeah, I didn't hear the initial leak because I was in the hair salon. You guys could tell my hair is freshly
the initial
done. So I was in the hair salon today when it dropped. So I didn't actually get to hear because I left my AirPods in the car, and I was actually getting my hair washed. Like, I was actually about to be in the sink when I sent you the links. So I didn't get to hear the initial beat, but I listened to the actual disc, the final version here at the apartment. So I didn't get that first, like, in real time reaction. I was getting reaction more so from Twitter and what people were saying. But I mean, I guess it was a cool disc, but I feel like, you know, you could do a line by line breakdown, but I feel like a lot of the stuff, it was like, like, I like a story of Adidon is always going to be like a reference point for me because I feel like it was line after line after line was just hit. Like, it was no fillers. Everything was like, you know what I mean? No, like, corny bars, whatever. But, yeah, but just going back to the leak thing, I do feel like the leak is corny. I feel like if you're gonna be in this battle, like, be in this battle. Like, let's go. Like, you're put to be this seasoned GOAT in the game. Like, act like it. Like, why are we doing leaks? To add like a buffer to hedge the impact of people's reaction, so you could hide behind, oh, it was a leak. I feel like I could just see him snickering. Oh, like when you send a risky text message and then you like, I don't know if men do this, but you send a message and you kind of like throw your phone and you're just like, because it was like risky and like you're scared to see the response. I feel like that's what he did. Leak it. And he held his ears and hid in a corner and like snickering somewhere, looking at the people's reaction. Like, that's corny to me because it was like, now that he's seeing people like liking it and like messing with it, he's probably like yeah. But if people hated it, he would have been like you said, oh, it wasn't done. That wasn't even it. That wasn't it. It was a leak. Corny. Like I feel like the whole leak thing is getting corny to me. I hate that whole aspect of hip hop. The leak dynamic.
Yeah. So when it comes to the verse itself, I think yeah, the leak aspect was kind of wild, but aside from that, the actual song itself, actually, I might as well just bring it up now. So Rick Ross did respond to this part, to the song already. So it was really shortly after. It might have been like 40 minutes after this song dropped from Drake, and he brought that up. Like, he said something like, why are we leaking the song when we're talking direct?
Yeah,
like that was one of my first opinions on it. Is like, this song shouldn't have leaked. Just put the song out. Like, especially if
Rick
it was
Ross
already
really
done.
Got into the studio and directly dropped that too.
Yeah,
but yeah, I like how he called it out because he knows he's in the game. He knows how that goes. And I'm sure he realizes leaks aren't as easy as people act like they are. Like, I'm sure they're not super common. I think most times when it happened, they're purposeful. I think even new leaks were purposeful.
Of course.
Like, I think when Drake's video leaked, I think that was him. That was his camp. I forgot the reason why people think he was a part of it, but there was a reason. Yeah. He was trying to distract us for something, I think.
Yeah. So we're gonna go line by line, and let's do it. So I could never be nobody number one fan. Your first number one, I had to put it in your hand. Great 2 bars, especially the intro. That's a direct response to Future, where he said that Drake is his number one fan dog on the intro to the first Metro album, We Don't Trust You. First number one, I had to put it in your hand. I think that was Way Too Sexy, if I'm not mistaken, where that went number one.
Future?
Mm-hmm.
Which that was their first one? Damn. Yeah. I thought they had one already.
Probably not.
Let's see.
I'm assuming it's that. If it's not that, then regardless.
I would think so, though, that's on OD.
Yeah, regardless, that is a stat. I'm sure he didn't just say that out of nowhere, so he definitely probably had some involvement with Future getting a number one. Now, the only thing that I will say, though, that I don't like is that when a song goes number one to me, while I think
good.
Life is Good was the first number one?
Yeah.
That's probably a number one, though. Because didn't Life is Good come after that?
Yeah, you're right. Way Too Sexy was 2021.
Yeah, so...
It's his first one ever. Damn, and it hit, but Life is Good was also another one. It wasn't Drake on that?
Yeah, but...
And Jumpman. Did they say Jumpman was number one?
Definitely not. When there's a mutual benefit, like, I feel like when there's 2 people on a song, I feel like it's kind of super hard to get off that, like, I gave you a number one just because the person was on the song. Like, I feel like...
Sorry, Wait For You. Damn. I think all his number ones are Drake.
Yeah, I think we know that already, though.
Wait For You. What else? Way Too Sexy. And what's the third one? Like That. Oh, Like That. The one that dropped. Okay.
Yeah. So
the Drake diss, so they'll still try to take credit for that.
Yeah. So I don't like the I gave you your first number one kind of thing, because it's a mutual thing. You have 2 people on a song. You can't really measure if Drake dropped these songs individually, if they would have done what they did with or without him. Exactly. I think it's kind of hard.
Then you would say every Drake song would go number one. Then if that was the case, if he was the special sauce,
right?
Like, he's been on plenty of people's music. He featured on plenty of artists, and their songs were not number one songs.
Yeah. So I do like the bar, but I don't necessarily agree with it.
And sorry not to interrupt again, too, but I think what made Way Too Sexy so popular is literally Future's part. The I'm dude, like him, which is a sample. Like, he's still kind of sampling. What is it called? Interpolation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's still, nostalgia probably has something to do with it too, right? And even Life is Good, I think people like Future's part. Like, that's the part that's trendy on TikTok. Future's parts on both songs. So, like, what are we really talking about? But
cool bar. You pussies can't get booked outside America for Nan. Yeah, I didn't agree with this one because I don't think anybody who he would have had beef with.
And why is she in it?
Can't get booked out. Huh?
America Fernanda,
No.
That's a girl's name, America Fernanda.
Is that what he was trying to?
Is that what he said? Fernand, right?
Like Fernand, like for nothing.
Yeah, but couldn't that be America? Isn't that her name? I think her name is America Ferrera. Never mind. Sorry.
So I don't agree with that one because I don't think that anybody he would have been talking about would have any trouble getting booked outside of the country. I don't even think that's a thing.
We talked about this off camera too. I think getting bookings outside of the country is actually probably easier than in the country, because out of the country they fiend to see American artists because they don't really see them as often as Americans do.
I'm out in Tokyo because I'm big in Japan. Okay. I'm the hitmaker y'all depend on. Backstage in my city, it was friend zone. Don't know what he really meant by that, but maybe backstage everybody was trying to play friendly with him. You won't ever take no chain off of us. How the fuck you big stepping with a size 7 men's on? This was a response to Kendrick saying that he's going to snatch Drake's chains with his hoodlums and burn off some tattoos.
It was supposed to be like a shout out to like the Morale and the Steppers, whatever.
Yeah, the big stepping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
is he a size 7? We gotta figure that out.
I'm never Googling what Kendrick Lamar's foot size is, but maybe. I don't know.
But even still, like you said before, that's like giving high school.
Yeah, I never quite like that. Like when wasn't Nas the one that said Jay-Z looked like a camel?
Yeah, like why are we coming at things that people can't really control?
Not even that. It's just like kind of like, okay, it's like lunchroom.
Like, ooh, my feet
lunchroom disses. You won't ever take no chain off of us. How the fuck you big stepping with a size 7 men's on? This the bark with the bite, nigga. What's up? Okay, for all the dogs reference, that was cool. I know my picture on the wall when y'all cook up. Extortion baby, whole career you've been shook up. So now this is when we start to get to the real intricate part about the diss.
Nobody's picture is up on the wall. I need him to stop. He thinks too big of himself.
Extortion baby, whole career you've been shook up because Top told you drop and give me 50 like some push-ups. So this is supposedly about Kendrick having a 50% split with Top Dog, who is the owner of TDE. And while we don't necessarily know that, I think that this is tough. I'm not super familiar with West Coast culture, but I feel like I've heard people say drop and give me 50 a lot in the West Coast music. I feel like that's like a cultural thing out there. Reference to push-ups, obviously, but here he used it to say drop and give me 50. Like every single time you drop a song, you give me 50%. So this one was super hard.
But is it hard when he's a victim to that as well?
Yeah, that was the only thing about the bar, was that he kind of shot at himself a little bit, because it's kind of been a known fact that Drake has been signed to Jay Prince, Lil Wayne, Birdman, and Universal Music Group. So I think the way it works is that Jay Prince has a finder's fee that any label that works with Drake will have to pay Jay Prince money. So I don't think that necessarily comes out of Drake's budget. I think it comes out of UMG's budget, but UMG is not going to take a loss on a Drake investment. So somewhere inadvertently, Drake is kind of paying Jay Prince in a way. He was signed to Lil Wayne, and then I think through a partnership with Lil Wayne and Birdman, they were also signed to like Young Money, Cash Money, the YMCMB thing. So I think that there's also been a percentage taken out of that too. So basically he has to pay a ton of people. And one of the old Pusha T disses, one of my favorite disses ever, Exodus 23:1, he brought that up. You sign to one nigga to sign to another nigga to sign to 3 niggas. Now that's bad luck. So this kind of extortion thing kind of relates to Drake too. So while the line I think was good, it still kind of relates to him too. Yeah.
Another line too, the M's count different.
When baby divides a pie, which was
like all that money you making is different when you got to split it.
Right, and like, Birdman's old name used to be Baby, so that's who he's talking to.
So it's like, that's my whole thing. Like when you throw shots that also could be shot back at you, for me it's like, I always hated that about people. Like don't throw shots that could be directed at you also, because then it's kind of like irrelevant to me.
Yeah,
and it's a good bar, but it gets milked down by the fact that he's also dropping 50.
Yeah, I think it's actually more than 50, so allegedly. I don't know what deals he's got out of. He's probably gotten out of it since then, but yeah, supposedly it might have actually even been more than 50.
Even if he got out of it, it's part of his history, you know?
Yeah. So your last one, Brick, you're really not on shit. They make excuses for you because they hate to see me lit. Pull your contract because we got to see the split. The way you doing splits, bitch, your parents might rip. So obviously still just keep going on the concept of his split with TDE. So cool scheme to continue. He said you better do that motherfucking show inside the biddy. Maroon 5 need a verse, you better make it witty. Then we need a verse for the Swifties. Top say drop, you better drop and give him 50. So this one I definitely liked a little bit, because I don't think that Drake's ever really done any. Well, he does make a lot of mainstream music, and that's his whole thing. He's never really done, from my understanding, any kind of like feature verse or like collaboration with any of what they would consider mainstream white artists. And I can't think of one. If anybody's watching this and they know one, definitely put it in there. But I can't think of him doing anything like a Maroon 5.
He did it with Katy Perry.
Yeah, Katy Perry. They had E.T. song. Kanye's also done quite a few, but he did Estelle. Obviously, did it.
Yeah. I mean, that's different. Estelle's not the same as like a Katy Perry, a Gaga, Ariana Grande, Taylor Swift, like Ice Spice, just doing a Taylor Swift song. So that's a good bar, I guess, too. But it's still like, my bad.
Yeah.
It's still like, I don't know. You know what's funny too? Not the Swifties are mad at him.
Oh yeah, of course.
They know they're a major fan base, so they don't like that they're mentioning that. That's all on Twitter. They're mad.
Anything.
They're mad.
Even when Kanye mentioned her in Carnival, he never even dissed her. He didn't even diss her in the song. It was just a mention.
Since Taylor Swift, like, you know, since 2007, whatever, till the 80s.
So I like this one because it's kind of like going at Kendrick for the black excellence power kind of thing, but saying you're doing songs with like Maroon 5 and Taylor Swift. So so yeah, I like that one. And then he says, "Top say drop, you better drop and give him 50. Pip squeak pipe down. You ain't in no big three. SZA got you wiped down. Travis got you wiped down. Savage got you wiped down." So this one I don't like. SZA has nothing to do with rap. I understand that they're under the same label, and I don't know the numbers, but SZA supposedly sold more than Kendrick, which she probably did on SOS. But she's not a rapper, right? Because that would be the equivalent of like saying, you know, Drake doesn't
to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Drake to Taylor Swift or any of those
like,
other
why are we
same
comparing apples to
comparisons.
oranges, knowing like you could be a black, you could be half black man in the culture, knowing how pop in the R&B is usually supersedes hip hop by numbers. Why are you comparing them to? Like, it's kind of corny. Like, are you in the culture or not? Like, you know, that's a false comparison. Like, you can't compare those two.
Yeah, Travis got you wiped down. Savage got you wiped down. That one was just funny.
Love Travis, but no.
Yeah, Travis does not rap better than Kendrick. Even though Travis is a great rapper,
he's a great rapper.
He's very underrated.
And, yeah, like My Eyes, that verse is crazy.
Travis is very underrated as a rapper,
and he's very influential. Like, Travis is one of my favorite artists. Like, but to say that he's competing with Kendrick when it comes to lyricism and he's wiping him down. Like, no, now you're just being disrespectful. Like, I think he's trying to be stupid. He's trying to be funny.
Yeah, Twin Bitches hopping off the jet ski isn't really getting it done. And I love Travis. I love that song.
But when we're comparing like artistry, like lyricism, Kendrick.
Yeah, and Savage got you wiped down. We're not even gonna talk about that one.
Yeah, like, come on, 21.
Like your label boy, you in the scope right now.
That's suspicious to me. Honestly.
Obviously, Interscope bar, and you're gonna feel the aftermath of what I write down.
So obviously, that Kendrick's not even with Interscope anymore.
He's not with Interscope or Aftermath. Yeah, he's in his own label. He's independent from Interscope. You're gonna feel the aftermath of what I write down. Obviously, Aftermath, Dr. Dre reference. I'm at the top of the mountain, so you tight now. Just to have this talk with your ass, I had to hike down. Big difference between Mike then and Mike now. So I like that scheme right there. Just mostly for the Mike then and Mike now, but because of how it translates into the next bar where it says, "What the fuck is this? A 20v1 nigga? What's a prince to a king? He a son nigga." So this was one that I liked a lot, only because I thought it was weird that Kendrick brought up the Mike Jackson Prince comparison. And I get what he was going for, saying that Prince lived and Michael Jackson outlived him. But in general, Prince's music is, I'm sorry, Michael Jackson's music is still like better than Prince's music, in my opinion. And it's still going to always do better. And I know we don't like to talk about the sales aspect, and so I won't even bring that up. But just in terms of the volume and like the amount, like every song is insane. So to me, yeah, I think it was good for Drake to bring that up. Like, what's a prince to a king? He a son nigga. So obviously reference to Michael Jackson being the king of pop and, you know, Prince being Prince. And he a son nigga, and because Michael Jackson's, one of his sons is named Prince, correct?
Yeah.
Something like that. So I think that whole scheme, I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give him his credit. I'll give him his credit. I'm not gonna hate on that one. I thought that one was good. Because I understood what Kendrick was trying to go for with that part, but
it didn't land.
It still doesn't really land because I don't think anybody is denying like Michael Jackson's like literally the best artist in our lifetime, yeah. Like literally. So I don't think I kind of understand what he was saying, but it didn't really land. So I feel like that was a good response.
Yeah,
I'll give Drake that.
Get more love in the city that you from, nigga. Metro, shut your whole ass up and make some drums, nigga. Now the thing about the get more love in your city, it could have been applicable to anybody, and the thing is, it's probably true just because of how popular Drake is. That more likely than not, if Drake shows up versus some other people, more people are gonna show up because Drake's gonna show up. So it's probably true. The only thing is that like Drake, I think Drake's been allowed to move around, and he's. I don't mean it in the way that this is gonna sound like people are gonna prevent and Drake got to check in. Not to make it sound like that, but Drake's definitely been able to benefit from the cosigns of these different areas, from getting acceptance from the more street rappers to go into these certain areas and be more accepted. So you kind of can't use that as like I'm more popular in your city when people kind of more or less allowed you to be accepted in the city by giving you that cosign.
Yeah.
So I think he said his first show ever was like in Atlanta or something like that. But like, I don't think he gets to be in those positions to be accepted without the street rappers. And it's not to take credit away from him, but I don't know if I'm in love with the get more love, and definitely not the Metro shut your whole ass up and make some drums, nigga. Because to me,
like, why are we disrespecting the Metro?
It's the concept of the mutual benefit. So when Drake was viewed as being a soft rapper and he was crying on Marvin's Room and all these different things, which I personally love. I think that the singing Drake is the best version of Drake, not necessarily the rapping part.
The only time I was actually legitimately a fan of him was prior to If You're Reading This Is Too Late. That was like the times I was actually a fan.
So when it comes to What a Time to Be Alive, there's a mutual benefit there, right? Like you get the credentials of being stamped by somebody from the streets, which is Future, and also Metro, coming from the same area. You get stamped that way, and you get to make a trap album without people questioning it as much because you have that stamp. So it's a mutual benefit there. So you can't rap on the beats and then turn around and say that, oh, you never needed him anyway, because you did need him, especially at that particular time, because I was there. Like, I remember people calling Drake soft all the time and him being upset about that. So he tried to come back with some more harder music, which has led to the Mob Ties type gangster music that we have today that came from these things, these Metro beats. So I don't like this because it's just kind of like Metro shouldn't even be able to say the same thing as an opposite either. There's a mutual look that comes from these things. Obviously, Drake is popular and it gave more visibility to Metro's beats, but Drake also gained a massive benefit of street credibility by rapping on Metro Boomin's beats. Yeah. And that allowed him to get off a lot of the trap music that he makes today. And so there's a mutual benefit.
Knows music knows Metro been around forever.
Like, yeah, he would have been good with it without Drake.
He was with everybody. He was with Travis, Future,
Gucci.
Yeah, like he's been around. So like, put respect on his name. Like he's literally a legend in the production world, especially in the trap world. So to just call him a hoe, like for what? Like you just.
But that's all he could say. That's the thing.
You're lame. You're a freaking biracial identity man with an identity crisis. Like you'll never be able to be any of these men. Like don't forget that. And that's what kills him at the end of the day. He wakes up and he's still him. And he still might be happy with that because of his success, but I don't think his success is feeding him enough. Because it will never make you, what he wants to be.
All right, I'm trying to get rid of this because we got a lot more to go. So, Y'all Nigga Manager was Chubb's little blunt runner, who I think he's talking about Cash XO here, which I could be wrong. So if I'm wrong, somebody correct me. But claim the 6 and you boys ain't even come from it. And when you boys got rich, you had to run from it. So he's definitely talking about The Weeknd and the XO camp. He's definitely talking about Cash too here, but I just don't know if Cash was also Chubbs' little blunt runner. For those of you that don't know, Cash XO is the one that runs XO portion, like with The Weeknd and everybody else that they have signed. I think Belly might also be signed to XO if I'm not mistaken, and there's a few other people signed to XO, but I don't recall. I don't think Nav is either, but he might be. Cash blowing Abel Bread out here tricking. And this is the one I liked. Cash blowing Abel Bread out here tricking. Shit we do for bitches, he doing for niggas. Jets, whip, chains, wicked, wicked, wicked. That scheme was tough. He also finishes it by saying, spending it like you trying to fuck, boy, you tripping, boy, you tripping. So this whole scheme is about, again, the concept of splits, where basically the Weeknd is, he's alluding to the Weeknd giving out a huge portion of his splits to Cash XO, who is his manager. So any music that the Weeknd drops, Cash is getting rich off of it. And he's saying that Drake is saying that he tricks for women, but the Weeknd is out here tricking for men, basically by giving Cash all this money and allowing him to buy things like jets, cars, and chains. And then he put the wicked, wicked, wicked flip on it, which obviously referenced the Future. So I like this one a lot. This one was tough. This might be one of the best schemes out here in the song. He says, Drizzy Chippendale probably got your bitch Chanel. I just got him done, boy. Don't make me have to chip a nail. This was insane and was the worst part of the song, because why are we in a rap beef talking about I'm gonna chip my fingernail because I just got a manicure? I don't know what we're talking about here, but okay.
Like why is that in rap beef?
Rolling Loud stage, y'all were turned. That was slick as hell. Shit'll probably change if your baby mama starts to kiss and tell. He said BM, but I'm gonna say baby mama. So he's referencing obviously Travis, Future. I think who else was up there? I think Chase was the DJ. Where Travis was telling Chase to play the what ended up being Like That, but before the song came out, to play the diss. So he said, y'all return to cell. Shit'll probably change if your baby mama starts to kiss and tell. And I don't know if he could be talking about anybody. He could be talking about Travis and Kylie. He could be talking about Future and any of his baby mamas.
And there is rumors about Kylie and the Kardashians and Jenners dabbling with Drake. So
yeah, so who knows? And maybe he might out that, but
he tried to do that play with Kanye too.
So we'll see. Hugs and kisses, man. Don't tell me about no switches. I'll be rocking. Ooh, that voice crack. Hugs and kisses, man. Don't tell me about no switches. I'll be rocking every fucking chain I own next visit. That's a direct reference to Kendrick, where he said that first person shooter, whatever, it better come with 3 switches. And Kendrick talking about he's snatching chains and burning tattoos. So Drake is saying, I'll be wearing every chain he owns next time he visits LA. And he says, I'll be with some bodyguards like Whitney. Top say, drop your little midget ass, better fucking drop and give me 50. Now, this is probably one of the more bombshell. Yeah, this is where it gets controversial. So for those of you that don't know, Whitney is the name of Kendrick Lamar's wife. Yeah. He admitted on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers that he cheated on her. And what is alleged is that she was messing with Kendrick's bodyguard. So this is a double entendre here. I be with some bodyguards like Whitney, which is the obvious. Whitney Houston was in the movie The Bodyguard, resulting in one of the highest selling songs of all time. So easy way to like put those two things together, but also because Whitney is Kendrick Lamar's wife's name and she allegedly was messing with Kendrick's bodyguard, that's supposed to be the bar. Now, I'm being critical.
Well, do we know if that was alleged?
That's like
definitely becoming alleged now because of the bar.
No, I think that's been alleged.
Really? Oh, so you heard that rumor before?
No, but after doing some research, this is not like a brand new thing.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, if somebody, you was with somebody since you were young, right? Like your life experience probably only is with them, and you find out they cheat on you. I'm sure you do some crazy things as a woman, so I don't think it's far fetched that maybe she got some get back with the bodyguard or something, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's not something that would be widely spread, widely known. And if Drake knows that in particular, or even if he's just feeding into a rumor, he's still trying to get at you, and he's saying your wife's name.
Yeah.
And did he not learn from Pusha T? Like Pusha T said, if you want to name drop my fiance, let the world know who you chose as your Beyonce. So I don't know. I feel like Drake loves to get these men, and like I feel like he likes to try to come at them where he thinks it might hurt, and he uses women as his like ammo all the time after time after time. And I feel like this was definitely him trying to like say something. You're not just using the name Whitney for no reason.
Or he knows something.
Yeah, or he knows something for sure. So it's like, why do it again when you know what happened last time? So I think he definitely has more of a confidence going into it this time.
Yeah,
for sure. Because it's like, why repeat that, knowing what the outcome was last time?
Yeah.
So whatever he has, he might feel confident with.
I'm gonna speed through the rest of these. So drop and give me 50, drop and give me 50. Niggas really got me out here talking like I'm 50. Niggas really got me out here rapping what I'm living. And here's the shots at Rick Ross. I might take your latest girl and cuff her like I'm Ricky. Obviously a play off of Rick Ross and him being a former corrections officer. Can't believe he jumping in. This nigga turning 50. Every song that made it on the chart he got from Drizzy. That I highly doubt that every song that Rick Ross ever had on the chart came from Drake. That's definitely not true. But I get the sentiment. Maybe his highest charting songs, maybe there was always the Drake feature. But the thing about it is kind of the same thing as the mutual benefit thing. Because I don't think if Drake was on those same songs by himself, if they would have sold as much, only because they are a specific niche of like rap.
It's almost like if Nicki and Cardi would drop a song now, it's not like either one of them would be the recent songs going number one. It's because the combination of both of them.
Yeah, it would be hard to determine.
Break the internet.
And the type of songs that they've done together have been very like rappy. The only thing maybe is Aston Martin music. That I could almost kind of give Drake more credit a little bit, maybe, but even that's a hard maybe because people like the way that Rick Ross raps on these type of luxurious beats. So when there's a mutual benefit, I ignore the bar even if it's a bar. Can't believe he jumping in, he turning 50, blah blah. Spending that little check you got and stay about my business. Worry about whatever you got going on with you and So spend that little check you got. I don't think Rick Ross has a little check, but I'll ignore that one. Worry about whatever you worry about whatever going on with you. And obviously Drake has some information about whatever is going on with Rick Ross and some woman.
He stopped. He said,
yeah. So he didn't say the name. He said, "Stay about my business." So maybe something that rhymes with business. Does her name rhyme with business?
What's the baby mama's name?
I don't know.
The one I was fighting with Bandman. What's his name? Bandman Kivo. What's his name? Kevo.
Yeah, I can't tell.
Tia Kemp. Tia Kemp doesn't rhyme with business.
Could be anybody. Who knows?
Business princess. I don't know.
But that's one of those between me and you bars. So that's a bar. Hey, shout out to the Hooper that be busting out the gritty. We know why you mad, nigga. I ain't even tripping. All that little heartbroken Twitter shit for bitches. I ain't even rapping after this. I'm way too busy. So maybe we'll talk about this at another time in another video. But Drake has to stop with the 21-year-olds and the 20-year-olds and the 19-year-olds.
You're fighting over a 21-year-old with another 21-year-old. How old John Morant?
John Morant's got to be
23,
like 20. Yeah.
24. Like, nigga, why you fighting with 20-year-olds? You're 40. Go start a family. Well, you already did with a porn star. But go, like, get a wife. All those Birkin bags you have in your closet are just collecting dust. Like, why you arguing with a freaking basketball player, NBA player? You be at every game. Like, I can't. He's so lame.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't.
That was John Morant diss.
John Morant diss.
Yeah.
It's cool. I guess it's cool if you want to look at it from a bar perspective, but when you take the nuance of it being a 21-year-old and Drake is 38,
37, I think.
37. It's a little nuts.
There, 38.
It's a little nuts.
So 38 this year.
This for all the top dogs. Drop and give me 50. Fire. Top Dog Entertainment. Obviously TDE flip. I don't know if this is then him shooting at everybody else under TDE. I would assume not necessarily either.
Potentially though, because a lot of TDA people. What's that one guy? He's been talking every time stuff been dropping. He been tweeting.
Punch.
Yeah.
But Punch isn't a rapper.
Yeah, but he's still TDE, so it still could be a. To that.
And SZA's under TDE, so I don't.
Yeah,
we could take that. Let's
SZA.
assume.
He likes it, I think.
And that fucking song y'all did not start with the start. I can't even read. And that fucking song y'all did not start the beef with us. The shit been brewing in the pot. Now I'm heating up.
Well, duh.
I don't care what Cole think. That shit was weak as fuck. Him talking about J. Cole apologizing, so we know that he thinks it's weak. I thought it was weak.
Damn.
Champagne tripping. He is not fucking easing up. Nigga calling Top to see if you want to piece it up. Top want to piece it up. Top want to piece it up. Nah, pussy. Now you on your own when you speaking up. You done roll deep to this. It's not fucking deep enough. Begging Kai Cenat, boy, you not fucking beating us. I don't know who was begging Kai to do an appearance on stream, but I highly doubt that there was anybody Kendrick, Metro, Future. So I don't know who he's talking about here, but the only person that we can think of that Kai's actually done a stream with is Yachty.
Interesting.
21.
And anybody who's relevant, who was begging Kai definitely would have already. There would have been no begging. Kai would have accepted it. Kai needs celebrities.
Yeah, I don't see him rejecting anybody, but I don't know
who was begging.
I don't know who was begging, but maybe we'll have information.
Maybe that's a warning shot to somebody else who's trying to say something.
I do know people were saying that like it was about Kanye because Kanye being mad about Kai's comments on his pants.
Interesting. Kanye get in the field because this nigga's still talking about you potentially.
Numbers wise, I'm out of here. You're not fucking creeping up. Money wise, I'm out of here. You're not fucking sneaking up. Cornball, show your money. Your cornball, your show money, merch money fee to us. I'm gonna let you niggas work it out because I've seen enough. This ain't even everything I know. Don't wake a demon up. This ain't even everything I know. Don't wake the demon up. Drop and give me 50. All you fuck niggas teaming up. Then the academic sample comes in. What top 5 are you smoking on, Kendrick? And that's it. So that's the full lyric breakdown. Hopefully you enjoyed it because that was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But I think it's a good response. I think that it's effective enough to get people off his back in terms of like people expecting it to be something trash where they're gonna be like, oh look, Drake got washed. So I think this is critical. This is going to be one of those most critical points in rap history where Drake, even though he leaked it, which was soft, he still gave a response that was good enough to fight back and defend himself. And now the ball's in Kendrick's court. So I think this was a critical moment in history.
Yeah.
And the response itself was decent.
This is going to be interesting what comes next.
Yeah, I think violence comes next.
Nah, you always be thinking it's about to be violent. Nah, I think what next is gonna be.
Well, I say that because look what happened with Pusha T.
Yeah, but okay, so you mean like? I think you mean like literally that people getting hurt. Like
no, that's literally what happened.
What him getting? People coming.
They can put the guy in critical condition.
Oh yeah, I can't remember that. But no, I don't think that's next. Nothing was said crazy enough for that to happen next. I feel like what's next is going to be is balls in Kendrick's court. So it's all now on him. So either he keeps it going or he stops it. Like, I mean, Rick Ross responded, right? So we got to see if Drake's going to respond to Rick Ross. But I feel like it's kind of like a thing where it's like, I don't think it gets to violence per se until like really crazy bars are said. Like, story added on was crazy bars, like disrespectful. Like, you exposed like a man's child. It came for the mother of the child and exposed his clothing line he was about to drop. Like, that's fighting words. Nothing, in my opinion, yet has been said are fighting words.
At least with Rocky and Drake, yes.
Well, yeah, no, for sure. Because Drake disrespectfully has talked about his. It's funny how I want to say wife, but they're not married. But his girlfriend, I guess, baby mom, Rihanna, like multiple times.
Rocky should have sent all the Harlem Goons to Toronto.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm disappointed in Rocky. Cause I feel like he should, at this point, set that man straight. I mean, who knows? It's still a pending album from him. We might get some verses, right? But I feel like, come on, like this man said the grimiest things that were so obviously about your girlfriend and like the mother of your 2 children. Like, you gonna let that slide? That fear of heights verse is disgusting. Come on, you gonna let that slide? And his comeback on the "We Still Don't Trust You" wasn't for me strong enough based off what Drake was saying.
Am I crazy for wanting to put hands and feet on somebody?
No, like, because like, who are you? Like, who do you think you are? Because you dated her and she didn't really want you, and she.
No, he still hit though, so we're not doing that argument. But for me,
yeah, but that's not what he wanted out of her. He wanted a family.
Who cares? He still did.
Yeah, but that's still gonna hurt him at the day. Yeah, you still okay? Ooh, you had sex with her. Ooh, but it's like
there's no ooh. Like,
but I realistically though, like at the end of the day, that stuff like it matters to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, like what you really want, like Drake talks about all the time. That's why they keep bringing that against him. Oh, like my dream life would have been like on paper the perfect family. Like you see, that's why Pusha T broke it down. That's family, something Drake, that you never had, Sandy never had, no ring. So that's like Drake's ideal fantasy life as a family, and he wanted that with Rihanna. So at the end of the day, yeah, I hit, but And what, you hit so many other women, that don't mean nothing. What you really want, you can't get. Like, he buys Birkins and stuff, and he wants a wife. He wants that. Like, he's 40 years old. Like, there's only so many times you can have sex with so many different women. Like, we just talked about this off camera. Like, he wants that bond and that vibe with the woman. And ASAP got that with the woman that he wanted, the woman of his dreams, you know?
At what point do you put hands and feet on people?
The second that you say anything disrespectfully about the person who birthed your kids.
So then we don't rap anymore, right? But that's what I'm saying. Then why does violence not come next?
It shouldn't even be dishes anymore.
Why does violence not come next?
I mean, realistically, when you're our father and you're our parent, I know like that's like you're thinking of your kids, so that might not be the reason. That might be the reason why you're ducking it, because it's like, what is that really going to solve? So maybe he's ASAP's taking the high road because he has kids. So and he has a family that he has to be alive for. Like, you don't want to get into some tricky situation and potentially die and leave your kids fatherless. Like, no.
I know people can
not gonna let him win.
Accidentally get murdered in a fist fight, but why is it that people don't just fight? That's like my confusion, because obviously you don't want to pull up on people with guns and weapons.
Well, fighting not always necessarily. It's not always the answer though.
It's never the answer.
It's never like.
But like,
maybe he wants to do the distract route. Maybe that's for him is enough.
I know that's the thing that's always like a little bit of a conflicting point for me, because it's like
you could just be bigger than bigger person though. Because like, remember we just watched that Shogun show. Sometimes getting that reaction out of people, that angry reaction, you're actually appeasing them. You're giving them what you want. Sometimes by not giving them that, you win, because like you're not giving them that satisfaction that they angered you, that they impacted you, that they are impacting you. Like,
right, and that was one perspective.
You like the life that you're living is already enough of a flex to him than anything that he could ever say or do. Like, you could say, fight him, you could do whatever, but at the end of the day, what you have is what he wants, and so you win. You know.
But what was the other argument after that in the show?
I forgot.
Yeah, because you didn't pay attention to the after part of that. The retort to that was, all that's fine and well, but you still have to exist in a world where Drake still said what he said. So
that's true.
So then what?
But that kind of goes against our argument that we had earlier, where you talked about like me not arguing with people on Twitter. Because at the end of the day, I couldn't be the bigger person not saying nothing, but they still said what they said.
Right.
And people are still reading what they said.
Right. But what I said was, I'm not going back and forth with people that aren't in my realm. So I'm not going to go back and tweet some random person that lives in West Bumblefuck, USA, that has an opinion on something, but somebody that might be down the street from me, that's living a similar life to me, then I might say something. And
that's the crazy part about this beef. If they all live close, like they be beefing and they probably literally live in the same neighborhood. Like, pull up. I'm not sure where ASAP and Rihanna live. I know they live in New York for sure. But I'm pretty sure they have a LA spot too.
That's my thing. Because
you pull up, you have my address, you have my number, come through. You know what studio I'd be at.
It's just more so at what point, because this is where my questions comes from. It's like, at what point does it stop being basically a tweet war? Because it's in music, but at what point does it stop going back and forth where we're just basically sending tweets at each other? Because that's what it comes down to.
But that's the thing, is some beefs will never end. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's never an ending point with some people. Like, sometimes you just gotta let things be what they are and just let it be, right? Like, I think about some of it's beefs I was in, right? I'm sure to this day there's still potentially smoke with people, right? But it's like, at what point do you just like call it? It is what it is. Like, we don't like each other, and that's just gonna be what it is. We don't have to speak each other. We don't have to recognize. We don't have to acknowledge each other. We just don't like each other. Fine. You know what I mean? But the really only end ever to any beefs is death, in my opinion, and that's no one wants to get to that point. It's never that serious, in my opinion. Depending on what you do, it's never that serious. Like, you're gonna disrespect my girl, my wife, the mother of my kids. Yeah, I might put hands on you, but at the end of the day, I'm living the life that you want. So I know you're only saying this because you're mad. You know what I mean? And you know it's not true. Like, that's the funny part. I would love for if Rihanna has some type of like concrete proof that their sex was not mid, and that he's just saying that he's mad. But then again, there's no really way to prove that your sex is amazing. Is there a way to prove that? There's a way to prove it. Never mind.
Yeah.
As a woman, is there a way to prove it? I feel like as a man, it's easy to prove. Because
as a woman, That's one of those things where I feel like
one thing that women like to attribute to thinking that it's good is that they feel like a man like constantly hits them up afterwards. So for them, they feel like which it could be, but not always. But it definitely could be. If a guy's continuing wanting to have that experience with you, then I feel like it would be safe to say that it's good enough that they want to come back for more. Or you could just be the only girl available. So that's the thing too. But
yeah, there's no way.
I feel like there's no way to really tell because as a woman, you could, there's a lot of ways. Kind of. I'm not gonna go into that, but there are. As a man, it's like. I mean, there's a way. I guess if a guy is just like sound like he's fighting for his life and explodes. Yeah.
But even that's not a good gauge either.
They could be faking it. But girls can be faking it too.
I don't even mean faking. I mean, sometimes you be thinking about some whole other shit.
Oh, yeah. You might be thinking about another girl. Yeah. True.
Anyway.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always just the internal debate because we see with
you don't want to die over something like that.
With Pusha T's response, immediately there were
threats.
They stabbed that guy so many times till they put him in critical condition. And Drake talked about that on Meltdown. He said, "Your bodyguard put in some work on a fluke, and you want to go and inherit the shit." That's what that's about. It's about Pusha T's bodyguard stabbing a kid a lot of times on stage and then put him in critical condition when Pusha T was performing in Canada. You know Pusha T actually can't get back into Canada.
Yeah,
now.
No.
That's hilarious.
Oh, well.
That's funny.
He could do without the Canada fan base. He has,
and it's because of that situation.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, that's why I'm like.
Can you go on trips?
No.
But that's what I mean. For me, beef is never that serious to get to the point where my life is at risk and now my livelihood. Like you can't even travel to a place because of beef. Like for me, it's never worth it to get that far with anybody. Nobody's worth that my energy and that time and my freedom. Like you win. If it gets to that point, my hands are up. You got it. You know what I mean? That's how I view it. Like it's not worth dying over. It's not worth you can't travel to certain cities and states and countries. Like no, you won. Because my whole thing is my perception of winning is living a life that the people that don't like you wish they could have. You know what I mean? You have the relationship that they only wish they could have.
Like it's a little tough when it comes to Drake though, because who's to say that he wants those things?
He said it out of his own mouth.
Yeah, but
multiple times.
But from you, right? Like he doesn't want to live your life. He probably would kill himself if he had Pusha T money.
No, I'm not talking about that. But like he still like wants elements of it. Like you could be the happiest person ever. Like you could be the most successful person ever, right? But there's still a piece missing, and you're still upset. Like not saying that he wants to trade lives with Pusha T, but it's like damn, like he only wishes that he had like a Virginia by his side who's been there through day one. You have no day one woman. And he probably does have some day one woman that he thinks about, from time to time. You don't got that. You don't got that ASAP Brianna relationship that you wanted. Like at the end of the day, you have all the success, all the fame, all the #1 records, all you want. But at the end of the day, you sitting down in that bed, it's just you. And that's what hits most people. I know plenty of people who are successful. They got all the accolades, all the degrees that they want. But what they really want is that companionship, that love, and they don't got it. So they got all the success and what you think would lead to happiness, and they're not happy. You know what I mean? And I think the best thing is to have it all. Like I am very content with my life because I feel like I have the money to a point where I'm very comfortable. We do a lot of amazing shit. We have a good relationship. Like I have the relationship, I have the looks. So when you check off a lot of boxes, people are gonna hate that. And you could check off a lot of boxes and still be missing something. And he's still missing that. He checks off a lot of boxes, but still is missing what he really wants. And that's his kryptonite. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that he'll trade lives with Pusha T, but he definitely envious probably of what they have. Like that man's married, and you're not. Like, and you want to be, because you wished you saw that. Like you want growing up, you wished you had that, and you didn't. And now you want that. That's why you have Birkin bags sitting collecting dust in the closet that no woman has come to claim because you haven't been able to find one. And you got a porn star pregnant. Like look at the life that you created, all the success, and look at your lineage. Like that's what really like that's what too as a man. That's what a lot of men feel like it makes them a man. You can have all those things, but where's the providership? Where's the being a father? in a loving household and the head of the household. Like none of that. He doesn't have that. And he got to a point now where I feel like he accepted that, and now also he acts like he doesn't care for it. And like, no, nigga, you still care. You still care. And they know he cares. That's why they try to, probably trying to come at him about it. So.
All right, quickly before we get out of here, Rick Ross responded to Drake, which we mentioned a little bit earlier, to spare you guys all the lyric breakdown. Basically, the two major things that he announced is that the reason why he unfollowed Drake is because Drake sent a cease and desist to French Montana to try to prevent his album from coming out. And that's why Rick and him have a beef. And the other thing is that he accused Drake of getting a nose job because he hates his blackness. And
you might know something.
He called Drake a white boy multiple times. Yeah. We also heard that Meg Thee Stallion talk about Drake's surgery for his abs, and Rick Ross brought up his surgery on his abs as well.
So we have multiple sources. I feel we heard it somewhere else too.
Now, from a song standpoint, I enjoyed it better than the Drake song just because it felt more. It just sounded like diss. It sounded better. Like I like the beat more. It sounded more of a diss to me. The Drake song had a lot more high frequency, high hitting entendres and all of that, which is great. I love that as well. But
this felt like he was actually Rick Ross felt like he was actually disrespecting somebody, which is what I feel like it was a diss. If you diss somebody, you dissing them. You're not throwing subliminals, you're not throwing shots, you dissing them.
Right. And his response was bringing up some of the concepts that we said before, where Drake's deal is questionable as well, where he has to cut a deal with he has a deal cut with Lil Wayne, Jay Prince, Birdman, Universal. So when he's using that splits diss to Kendrick, it's still applicable to him too, which kind of like
calls coming from inside the house.
Yeah, so it makes it kind of like it dilutes the diss to Kendrick itself when it could be applicable to Drake too. No matter how much money he's getting, those splits are a fact. Like that's a thing. I don't know if it's still a thing with Birdman and Wayne, but definitely at some point in his career, his money was getting chopped up ridiculous. Because especially when they do the estimated net worth, which I hate, and they're all not factual at all.
Yeah.
Even the estimated fake net worth should have always been higher because of how much music he sells. But I think it was lower just simply from the fact that his pay was getting chopped up from way too many people. And same with Nicki. Nicki was under those same deals. Like allegedly she was under 360, which I don't think she was, but I think she had a similar split. Like you're signed to Young Money, Cash Money, Universal, all these different people. So I think the Rick Ross one was good. I think everybody's disses so far today were good, and what great way to start. Rick Ross tweeted out that this is just the first quarter, so we'll see what happens in the remaining quarters. Next? I think Kendrick has to come next.
I know, but it could be anybody though, because Drake came out multiple people, so it could be A$AP, it could be The Weeknd. I mean, We Can Do an Address track would be crazy. I don't think he will because he's at a point of his career where he's had so much success. But I mean, then again, since he's at that point, he might very well just like drop something. But I mean, he's an R&B artist, so
yeah, singing at this is crazy, which is what he's been doing, which is great.
But who knows, right?
I don't think he will.
Yeah, I think he responds in tracks.
Travis ain't gonna say nothing. 21's not gonna say nothing.
Travis is too neutral for me. Like he's not picking side. 21, no.
I don't know if Future and Metro say anything anymore.
Were you surprised that Rick Ross said something, or no? Was that like
expected for you? That was expected for me because like
he would respond.
He's a rapper. Like when we talk about rap, these are the people we talk about. Like not that Travis doesn't rap, but Travis is an artist. Like he makes certain type of eclectic music. Yeah. So when we talk about rap, like you could throw 21 in there because 21 raps. He doesn't make like R&B and eclectic music. He's not an artist in that sense. He raps. Future, same thing. Even though Future does make R&B records, he's not making eclectic kind of like. Go listen to a Travis album and then go listen to a Future
Utopia
album. Right, it's not going to sound similar. Same way like Kanye, he raps but he's not a rapper to me. Even Drake raps but he's not a rapper to me. They make certain type of music.
That's what somebody even said. They don't think Doja Cat's a rapper. They think that she's an artistic speaker.
Yeah, she raps and she's really good at what her raps, but she's not a rapper. She makes eclectic music. Like Drake made too many R&B songs. Like
even not Beyonce, Nicki a little bit too.
Yeah, Nicki does a lot of singing too. But she's an artist. I think she plays in a lot of different pockets. Like we always reference Super Bass as much as she hates it, but that she plays in these different areas where some of these other the rappers don't play in those pockets. You won't hear Jay-Z. I think the closest thing we got to that with Jay-Z was like the Linkin Park collab album. But Jay-Z doesn't rap on those kind of like high pop hits. So I'm not surprised Rick Ross responded. And honestly, I kind of, not that I feel bad, but it's kind of like, damn, from a Drake perspective, I'm like, what do you even do now? Because if it really is going to be like 20v1 and this is Civil War, it's like, how you even write for that? Like, it would be too tiring because now you got to write, like, let's say he's writing something for Kendrick and he responds. Crazy. And then he got to write something for Rick Ross. And while he did just do this track where he's coming at everybody, it's like to have to do that every single time. It's like, oh, man.
Yeah.
So we'll see what he does, but I hope everybody.
I hope Kendrick's next.
This is what we've been waiting for. Yeah. For those of you that don't know,
Kendrick. And you know what? Kendrick's like a rapper, so his response time might be quick. So like we maybe could anticipate it maybe this weekend. Like it'll be interesting if we get it tomorrow, or definitely the next week. But you know, you don't want to be too slow with the response. And if he has something in the vault already, allegedly for 4 years, he might be tweaking and modifying it. But let's see.
It might be one of those. And from what we've heard from people that have heard it, it's gonna be just like Drake's. So I think this is a good round one from everybody. Good round one.
Oh Lord. You know me, I'm an ultimate Drake hater, so I'm here.
Yeah, we couldn't tell.
Yeah, but I mentioned this off camera. I recognize his weird behavior since 2015. Like when I was saying this on Twitter, nobody was really agreeing with me back then because everybody was still on that. Oh, he smoked meat. He did this. They just mad he's successful. I seen through it. I'm like, he seems like a cornball who's weird, and there's something else off-putting about him. Like I was a fan. Like I feel like if anything, I actually had the best perspective because I was actually a fan of him at first. So like I'm not biased. Like I just thought like something switched in him that I thought was really weird, and I just realized he was just nerdy. Like I don't know him personally, but I just feel like a lot of what he presents, I was like, eh.
So to switch the conversation, because this is obviously we know that they're going to go back and forth, but I think a lot of people were confused about why the entire industry is switching up on Drake, because we see LeBron performing this or not performing, rapping the song,
which that was crazy for me because I feel like they always was like, I don't know.
Travis and Drake obviously coming off of huge songs like Sicko Mode and Meltdown, and their collabs that they do together, and all of the rappers, Rick Ross, Future. We have Metro, The Weeknd. We got Ja Morant.
Yeah, like what?
Who else do we have that's against him? Baby Keem.
Yeah, Baby Keem.
Did I say Kendrick? I should have said Kendrick if I didn't. Pusha T.
Kanye's on the fence. Kanye got they got a love-hate incestuous.
But I mean, like right now, this very second.
Yeah, like who would get smoked? Who would want to smoke with him at any second? Yeah, like at this moment, yeah.
Yeah. I think that covers pretty much everybody. If I'm missing somebody, I'm missing somebody.
Okay, no, yeah.
But it's basically the concept of Civil War, where it's going to be all the Avengers that go and try to fight Drake Thanos.
And this shit is pissing me off because I feel like Drake's gonna lean into this Thanos bag thing. He's gonna be feeling himself OD. He's gonna, you know what? It's gonna be like his Nicki era. I'm the bad guy.
But and nobody felt that way about him. But only if he wins, quote unquote wins, because it's all subjective.
He's not gonna win.
Anyway, I wanted to have an intellectual conversation, so let's keep it very poignant. Why is there this seemingly strategic attack on Drake?
I don't think it's a strategic attack. I think what it is, and so that's what a lot of the Drake fans are trying to act like it is, right? Because I get it, they're biased, that's their fave, right? But you gotta like stop being like, there's a bit difference between being biased and being a little bit borderline delusional. There has to be a recognition like that this man has been for years storing subliminals, like just in the music, right? He's doing weird subliminals. He's being weird. And then on top of that, that's behind the scenes stuff that we are not privy to. We don't know these people. At the end of the day, people got to get that through their thick skulls. We don't know these people. We don't know their everyday lives. Like we all have everyday day-to-day lives. We all have issues with people. So do these celebrities. Like they're humans too. There's conflict in their lives too. So we don't know what he's doing behind the scenes. But there has to be a certain point where it's like everybody can't be the problem. And I feel like Drake fans need to get that through their little thick skulls. Like everybody can't be the problem. There's definitely something that he's doing to these people behind the scenes that's amplifying this. And on top of that, he's doing stuff behind the scenes and he's also throwing shots in the music. So when someone's throwing continuous shots at you for years, right? What do you expect them to do? Not be weak and not say nothing back? Like they're responding. And maybe it does seem like it's a ganging up thing, or maybe they all just happen to just be tired at the same time. And they're like, all right, we're going to come for this nigga. Like he's annoying as fuck. Like it's time to put him in his place. Everybody's gonna view it as a ganging up thing, but I don't view it as that. I view it as they're all kind of collectively realize like this nigga is corny. He's weird. And I think once he came at Metro, that was for a lot of them were like, that's what we're not doing. Because I think they all, it's like when you have that one weird friend and they all like, and then everybody kind of like piss pieces together, like, damn, this is the fucking problem right here. And then you kind of all like are figuring out like, nah, they came for her. Yeah, no, now we're not doing that. Because now you come for the person who, like, who's we all love. Like, Metro's been in hip hop forever. And I think for a lot of people, that coming from Metro was their like breaking point. Like, nah, this nigga weird as fuck. Like, I let it slide, he let it slide, he let it slide. But now he's gonna come from Metro, like, and then I think they all sat down like, wait a minute, all of us all gave this nigga a cosign in Atlanta, in Chicago, in Miami, and this. I think they also like, we all gave this nigga a cosign. This is how he's acting off of some simple disconnect. Like, we can't be grown men and have disconnects from time to time. Like, I think Drake is the type of person. Anytime there's a disconnect, he's so sensitive. So he said this, Metro said this about me. About, like, it could have been nothing personal. Like, he might have just felt that way about the Grammy. Like, he might have felt like he deserved it, right? But, and yeah, it still may be weird, right? But instead of being like, okay, like, this is disconnect, he's so quick to be like, oh, it's beef. Now I'm about to throw subliminal. Now I'm about to DM your girl. Like, I feel like he's just weird. And he's mad sensitive, doesn't know how to have conflict resolution. So he's so quick to just be weird. And I think a lot of them all realize he's a nerdy guy at his core. I think they all they all thought he was cool, talented, but at his core, he's a weirdo. And that's the thing. You could be I need people to realize that your faves could be the most talented people in the world. Like, I think Drake's talented. I'm not a hater, right? Like, I like a lot of his music, but that doesn't make him immune to being a fucking weirdo. And at his core, he could just be a real weirdo. Like, everybody can't be the problem, and him being successful can't be the problem. Cause why? Kanye's majorly successful. He got friends. He's just a little volatile. That's the only reason why he don't got really a lot of people around him. But he's just a little crazy, right? We all can admit he's crazy.
He's a weirdo too.
He's a little weird sometimes, but he's just crazy and he's volatile, right? So I don't think people like to be around people like that. But a lot of very successful people that people didn't just switch up on. And it's kind of hard, right? Because like, then I'm a Nicki fan, right? And I sometimes feel that way, that people hate on her for her success. But I do think that she's just a very volatile person. I think, honestly, unfortunately, that comes with success. When you get to success, you get this big headedness, and then you also get this paranoia that everybody's hating on you. You think everybody's a hater, right? So then it just makes you act out. And I think that's just like a downfall of success. But I feel like also at your core, I think Nicki's also a weirdo at her core too. I'm a fan, right? But she's a theater kid. She's a nerd too at her core, right? And I feel like these nerds get big, they get amped up, they get famous, and they start acting like the bullies. They started trying to be the bullies that they dealt with when they were kids. And I love Nicki, but I can admit that. Kanye too. I love Kanye, but I can admit that. Nerd. All these kids that were nerds, right? Who now they feel like, oh, we the bullies now. And it's just not sticking. And people realize the people who really were the bullies maybe back then, right? Or maybe the people who really were cool are like, nigga, you still whack. Like, yeah, you famous, you're successful, you're talented, but you're still a nerd. So I think that's what the issue is. And I think on top of that, Drake just does a lot of weird, grimy stuff. Like, we talked earlier to Rick Ross, cease and desist, but to French Montana, like, why? Like, why are you doing that? Like, you mad weird, So, and I think he tries so hard to be cool and he wants to be down with everybody. I feel like he switches up, like, niggas talking fucking patois. Like, he's around Jamaican and starts to get an accent. Like, that's like identity crisis. Like, I feel like people don't like people like that. Like, be yourself, be you. And I feel like he's not that, So, and I don't know him personally. That's a disclaimer, but this is my, opinion based off readily available information and analysis. So, I don't know how. Do you agree with that? Is that like the? That's.
I think
that's what the root is.
I think
quote unquote ganging up.
I think it is. So it is soft to me. So I don't care who dissed who. I don't care if Metro is the singular person that is causing everybody to diss Drake now. I still think it's soft, right? Because when Jay-Z and Nas were going at it, there was no features. When Biggie and Tupac were going at it, there's no features. Like, they're just going at it. They're just dissing each other back and forth. 50 Cent versus Jadakiss, like all these different rap beefs that have existed, there's no features on these songs. Even Drake and Pusha T, there's no features on these songs. So to me, having a group of people and even The Weeknd singing disses to Drake, I feel like it is an element of corniness that comes with the ganging up, because I get it, because it's like, wait, where was all this before? Like, everybody, at least from the perception standpoint, it's like, where's all this strength by yourself independently? Like, you needed to get validation from a group of other people before you can come and say something to me. So I do get the element of that, and I kind of agree with it. But in terms of like the actual things that Drake does, I think that's still valid. I think he does do a lot of weird shit behind the scenes, because we see what the weird shit that he does in his music and the things that he says. He brings up people's wives and all people's women's that he's messing with, and I'm a shooter and I'm gonna come down there like I'm doing voodoo shit, like we killed this guy when I was flying to Turks. Like he put that in, what song was that?
Forgot. No.
Knife Talk with 21 Savage. So he does do and say these different things, and I think people don't pay attention to these things necessarily because it's music and people like the beat and they're just like turned up to it. But I think that if it's evident in his music, the type of shade that he throws to people, and I hate to use the word shade because that's just nasty word, but the disrespect that he uses in his music, if he's doing that in a public platform and the people that know what he's talking about and know what he's saying, I can only imagine the weirdo shit that he does behind the scenes. So it is weird that the whole industry is clicking up at the same time, and I think it shows a sign of weakness in a sense where you have to have multiple people come together to collectively diss him. But at the same time, it doesn't take away from the things that he does, which I think he probably does insane things, and I think that that's why there's like this, like, all right, like he might have done something, and I don't know if it'll ever come out. I don't think it will, but I feel like he's done something that was like so like so over the line that the industry knows, and I don't think anybody that knows is ever gonna say it, because I feel like it's like legal aspects to it where Drake might get put away, like kind of thing, and that might be a stretch, but I wouldn't put it past him where maybe he tried to line. I don't even want to say what it could potentially be, because I don't want to put stuff out there, but I think it could be something very significant. So in general, I think the whole industry has this disdain towards Drake, not because of his success, because Drake's been successful and he's been more successful. He's been more successful than everybody for a long time.
So why would they now be mad? Because he dropped For All the Dogs? Like what?
No, For All the Dogs didn't get it done.
Classic album for him.
And they didn't. That's not going to get it done. Drake sold 1 million first week with views. Like he's been successful for a long. I don't even know if anybody in rap has ever sold that much. He's
beyond his peak, in my opinion. So I'm confused what people could be.
Yeah, it's not a success thing. Like it's got to be something that he said or did to somebody that was definitely well loved. Because I think the sentiment that you said about Metro, it probably is something along those lines, but I think it's something that he did that was so crazy to Metro or somebody like that, where it's like nah. Yeah.
And I think everybody just putting the pieces together. I think everybody just shared their stories, like, oh, he did this to you, oh, he did this to me, oh, that nigga is fucking weird. Like I feel something like that. Like they was putting two and two together, just realizing that he's just a weirdo. He switches up on people. He just shiesty. Yeah,
and if people collectively share women, like that pillow talking thing will get people jammed.
Get
like
stuff around.
Stuff gets around, and that's what people have to understand too, is that we live a different life. We're normal civilians, so when we're communicating and we have peers and there's different rumors that go around, those things are going to go around in our general vicinity.
Yeah,
the same way in there's like realm of the world, those same things happen, but it's going to be in their realm. It's going to be amongst the actresses or the rappers or the whoever.
That's a part of confusing me, that people don't make that correlation.
Like these are humans. They're not characters. They're not.
When we was in college and stuff was happening, everybody usually heard about it, right? And within our campus, like, this is the same that's happening to them.
Right, but that doesn't mean another campus for a completely unrelated school is going to know what's going on in our campus. So it's like the same thing. Like these are humans. They do certain things. They go out. They see each other in these different places.
They betray each other.
Right, like we just saw.
So that we do.
We just saw Quavo and Chris Brown at that one fashion show.
Yeah.
And obviously they still have beef, but like they still go out, right? You know conversations were had after that, not between those two, but just in general, like, oh, that blah blah blah, and he was like, these things happen.
Was
like,
tapping me, or he was breathing this.
Like, come on,
like these are still human beings. Just because they're successful, talented, got money, doesn't take away their human aspect. Like I feel like people forget that. And they love Drake so much they don't realize he's a flawed person. We're all flawed, but he might be severely flawed. There's no way people are just hating on him when he's successful. I need people to stop that narrative. It's old. It's old. There's so many other successful rappers and artists out there that don't have the same level of hate.
Right.
And their argument be, oh, but nobody has been as successful as Drake. Fine, use that as your argument, but still, like, come on.
Not in rap, yeah.
Yeah, but still, come on. Like, you really think they hate on him that bad? And then they try, like, I think what I don't like too, that kind of pushes that whole infantilization of like light skinned people. Like it's like they're like, oh, so sensitive. Like they're so, it's like you're babying them, coddling them. Could they're like, it's kind of, could they're light skinned. Like I just feel like that kind of adds to that.
Yeah, they're trying to do
infantilization of them.
Kendrick's dark skin and bullying the light skinned kid.
Yeah, they ganging up. Look, they ganging up on him. Like I don't like that. because that's the thing, he tapped into that. Like Drake tapped into, like we just talked about, like why his fan base is so large, because he's kind of made hip hop more digestible for the masses. He's not real hardcore to the real hip hop. He made it digestible to the masses. So, you know, of course, his fan base, who probably are racist in a way, right? Some of them are going to lean into that whole villainizing the dark skinned Kendrick, you know. I hate on him because he's successful and because he looks good. Like, that's probably what some of them think too. Oh, he get jealous because how he looks. I need people to be for real. I never understood the Drake hype. That nigga is not attractive to me. But, you know, that's a different conversation. But that's...
Anyway.
That nose is something else. It might be a new nose.
Yeah. So, my theory, that's just basically my theory on it. He's definitely one of those people, I think, that will do a whole bunch of things behind the scenes because he's sensitive and portray himself as being the victim. And then when people call out or say something, he gets to hide behind the veil of being a victim, while also simultaneously being able to attack people from behind that veil. And because he's viewed as being the one that's being attacked in the first place, his response is going to be perceived as being a lot higher than it really is.
Yeah.
Kind of like with the Meek thing, for example, where I think that there is a reason why Drake didn't tweet out the link to the album or promote the song that he's on a part of. I feel like there was something behind it, and where people look at Meek as crashing out on Twitter, saying why you ain't tweet my album. I think it's because there's something behind the scenes that resulted in the album not being tweeted. Yeah. And then now Meek looks crazy. And then Drake responds with back to back. And now Meek looks even more insane. So
you know what's interesting too about that? You mentioned that. You know, like a lot of Nicki fans are mad at Drake because he hasn't mentioned not a single thing about that song that's on Nicki's album that he's on. Mm-hmm. Not a single shout out. Not a single go stream. Not a single go listen to the album. Weird, right?
And he's not.
People think there's something going on over there too, like that maybe Nicki never really, maybe Drake wanted Nicki.
Maybe, obviously.
And she like leaned into it for the music, but I don't think she actually really gave it up to him like that. So
yeah, and not that he
has disdain about that.
Not that he's necessarily obligated to do so, but I think if we want to look at it theoretically, I think there is a world where he does weird stuff behind the scenes. He then doesn't, in combination, he also doesn't support songs that he's even a part of. Yeah. And I think that makes people feel a certain way. Then somebody reacts and now they look crazy. They look like they jumped out the window.
I'm glad Nicki didn't do anything. Maybe she doesn't care, but it's definitely, I think he'd be setting it up.
And it's very, very possible that also within that, because it's not all his fault, because I don't want to ever make it seem that way. It is possible that somebody might be jealous of success, but I don't think it's everybody, because The Weeknd's more successful than Drake.
Yeah, that's not it's definitely not a possibility. Like, yeah, we know that's a thing. People definitely be jealous of people's success. Like,
but when you turn around over a disagreement and now you're trying to fly out people's baby moms and you're putting slick jabs and the music and I had your girl last year and all these different things where it's like if you know kind of things, then when you take all these things in combination, I think that's why people don't like him, and that's where I think the "We Don't Trust You" and "We Still Don't Trust You" album titles come from. I think it's that whole concept of just like the stuff he does behind the scenes that people hear about, and then it becomes this thing.
Yeah, it's just so crazy, because like I just think about, like, obviously, like, you know me, I always like to compare things to real world examples, right? So obviously I have my examples of people who've done like horrible things, right? But then like I could see why they could be loved by others, because they have like a charisma to them, they have success, they have all those things, right? But it doesn't mean they're not horrible people who have done really horrible things and hurt people, you know what I mean? So that's why, like, I feel like that's why I'm able to easily see that, because I know, like, being successful doesn't evade you from being a horrible person. Like, I know very successful people who are horrible people, who've done like nasty, terrible, evil shit to people. And they're also successful, and they're also, a lot of people might like them. So I just feel like I don't know how people don't see that. Maybe the people in their lives that done them dirty are bums, but you definitely not be a bum and be an evil person. So I need people to realize that, like, you're not, Drake is not like immune from being a really horrible, evil, mean person. Like, he could, and if woman is his kryptonite, that could be what it is. Like, he betrays a lot of people when it comes to women. And that doesn't take away his credentials, doesn't take away his success, it doesn't take away his talents, but you're still not a good person. Like, I still don't fuck with you. Like, you know what I mean? And we don't know him personally, so I need people to stop, like, his fans to maybe think, all right, he's great music, he makes great music, but let's separate the art from the artist. Maybe his personality, maybe who he is as a person is not a good person. And everybody always preach mental health. Maybe he's mental health, like maybe he's mentally, like, you know, damaged. Maybe he has trauma and he projects that trauma, and he's not healed, and he's damaging other people because he's unhealed. You know what I mean? So I feel like people need to take those rose-colored glasses off and look at these people as human beings and compare them to maybe someone in your life that did you dirty, that might be a talented person, that might be charismatic, that might be, you know, present themselves as this loving, kind, empathetic person, but you know them because you dealt with them. You know how they get. So
yeah,
that's my perception of him, and I feel like I've been right. That's been my perception of him since 2016, since the Meek Mill beef. You go back to my Twitter, I've been standing clear on this perception of him for a minute, and it's just funny how people are slowly realizing it. And I'm like, I've been said this like 8 years ago, but you know, it's not like I have a huge audience for people to be like, oh yeah, she was right. I've been felt like I'm just very I don't know him, right? So I can't speak too much, but I have really good intuition on people. I think I'm a good read of character, like based on people. You don't think I'm a good read of character?
No.
You don't think so?
Clearly not. No.
What do you mean clearly not?
We're gonna talk about it off camera. Do you have anything additional?
Oh, you're gonna tell me right when we turn this off too.
No, not.
Yeah, we are. I am a good read of character. You don't think I'm a good read of character? Like,
no, you wouldn't have had a lot of the issues that you had in life if that was the case.
I mean, now I am. I played back then. I was a good read too, but being a good read of character and reacting the way you're supposed to don't necessarily correlate. I could be a good read and still self-sabotage.
What's the difference?
There's not really a difference. You could be a good read of somebody and still just be too fearful to confront or to do anything about it.
You might as well not even be a good read then.
Yeah, but I was right. Everything I said about anybody, oh my God, I was right from day one. Like, anything I felt about anybody, I was like, oh shit, like, thank you for proving what I felt anyway. Thank you. So.
Anything else?
No. I just can't wait for this to keep going. Maybe I hope next week we have our updates.
Probably by tomorrow.
I know, but we're filming next week.
Yeah, but just can't do anything about
Smoking
that.
on top 5.
Yeah, good response by Drake. So we will see y'all next week, same time, same place. This has been
same
a couple
time,
of things.
Place. Oh wait, we're gonna be on vacation next Saturday.
This has been the A Couple of Things podcast
in Charlotte. No, we're gonna be on a flight. Oh, we're gonna be home Saturday night after the wedding. Yeah, but our flight lands like midnight, and we had to get up for 8 a.m. flight.
Why is it only at midnight?
I mean, no, it lands at 10.
We'll talk to y'all next week.